And we are ready to get going here with the next round at the Senior Masters, live from South Point in Las Vegas. I'm Lucas Wiseman of USBC, along with the 2008 Senior Masters champion Kenny Parks. Good afternoon, Kenny.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? And we're ready for an exciting match between Gary Dickinson and Amledo Monticelli.
A couple of Hall of Famers gonna tango here for the right to battle Hugh Miller in the next match. And someone in our chat, Kenny, said that Gary Dickinson should get 19 pins handicap, 1 pin for every age, for every year difference in age.
Oh, well, that'd be a nice bonus to have, but he's going to have to play it just head-to-head against Amledo. And, you know, the lanes right now don't look that easy because I'm watching them warm up. So let's see how they start out with. I don't think Amledo's going to be playing very deep on this right now, so he's probably going to be kind of straighter up the lane because Gary is. So should be kind of interesting as the lane progresses today. They'll be moving a lot, so he may start out outside and then he might move in right away. See how the lanes progress.
And I think that this is a pair of lanes 19 and 20, that Amledo really likes, because he shot 831 and 792 on this pair. So he's averaging just over 270 on 19 and 20 in match play.
Wow. That is quite a bit of pinfall. He's got a good draw to be able to draw that pair 3 times.
Of course, so it's a fresh pair, I think, this time around. So
yeah.
I'm not sure that anybody bowled on that pair. I'm not 100% sure.
The first time he caught it, it was on the burn. And
yeah,
that's when he bowled his high scores. He got way in there with a marble pearl and just was wheeling it. And Amledo makes the spare using a plastic ball that doesn't hook.
And yeah, I just wanted to confirm this pair is fresh. Nobody has bowled on 19 and 20 yet today, so it's been sitting since they oiled this morning.
You're going to see Gary Dickinson. He's going to be playing on the outside part of the lane. This oil pattern provided different angles of attack this week. And he goes high. Leaves a 4-pin.
Gary Dickinson, if he is able to win the tournament today, would be his 3rd Senior Masters title. Nobody else has ever done that, but he's a long ways away from taking the trophy. He's got to win this match. He'd have to beat Hugh Miller, and then he would have to beat Mike Edwards twice. So
well,
the guys in this match 4 wins away from the title.
That's a lot of wins from the title, and you're bowling all good quality bowlers that have a good look and are bowling very well. That's why they're in the positions that they are. Gary Dickinson coming up on the left lane now.
And it is 3 games total pinfall to determine the winner of the match. The same format all the way through the Senior Masters.
And that ball was a little light.
Yeah.
2-8. So the left lane, he seems to be tighter, or he's moved a little bit more left trying to play for the hook. We're going to see which direction he's going with that. 2-8's going to be tough spare on this. The middle's still hook on this, even though there's oil in the center, and it's about a 2.5 to 1 ratio. If you go straight in there, it still hooks a lot on the back ends on the fresh. And he covers it easily. He's throwing a bandit today, Roto Grip Bandit. It's about a 4x3 on the pin placement with a weight hole. And a little bit of surface, looks like about 1,000 surface on that.
Yeah, Dickinson has kind of skated through match play and hasn't really had to bowl a big set. And I think his high set of the tournament in match play looks like it's 659, and I'm not sure that would be enough to beat Amledo. He's
well,
gonna have to find his striking shoes.
Amledo has history on this pair already, so for the last 2 days, as you were mentioning, he has a tremendous average on this pair, so there's something about it that he likes and he's matching up well with. So Dickinson's definitely got his hands full, and also Amleto is going to be inside of him to the left, so Dickinson's shot's going to be changing constantly. He's going to have to really make good shots, and he's going to have to be willing to move here pretty soon.
And for Amleto, it's been a long road getting to this match because he lost his first match of match play to you, Kenny Parks. And so he got sent into the elimination bracket immediately, and it's a long road. He said he has bowled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches in the losers bracket so far. So this is his 10th match overall.
I have experience in that category. It happened to me 2 years ago. I lost the first match, and then I went undefeated in the losers bracket until I got to the end of it, and guess who else did the same thing? Walter Ray Williams.
Yeah.
So I had to bowl him to face Wayne Webb, who we would have had to beat twice. And I had Walter by like 47 pins going in the last game, and he managed to get lined up, shoot 240, and I only shot 2-0, and I ended up losing. And he went on to bowl Webb, and Webb won the title. Amleto covers a spare. And we were talking about how he mentioned that I did beat Amleto. I caught him on the fresh early, and I actually played inside of him. And then when he couldn't move deeper than me and have a reaction, he had to come back where I was, and I knew he would probably go high there. And that's exactly what happened. He didn't shoot very high scores, and I was able to beat him that way. And so far, I haven't seen anybody try to be inside of him yet. They've all been to the right of him. And when that happens, your shot's going to constantly change. So sometimes strategy will pay a big dividend if you think about, the person that you're playing and try to play a little bit left of them, if possible.
And I think unfortunately for Gary Dickinson, that's not going to be an option for him in this match. I don't see. Oh, look at that! Just barely made it. I don't see Gary being able to get in there and hook it with Amleto and be left to him. But that could come into play for certain against Mike Edwards if Amleto gets to take on Mike, because Mike could definitely wheel on the ball a little bit too.
Yeah, Mike's got a pretty high rev rate also, and he throws the ball hard, but he likes to play straighter in the track areas, and he's actually, if he can play around 6 or 7, that's what he loves. And so if you see Mike Edwards playing that, the other guys are in big trouble. And Dickinson has a strike.
See, we take a look at the scoreboard. It's still early on, just the 4th frame, and Amleto with a slight 3-pin lead. No doubles yet in this match. What's Amleto throwing?
Amleto's throwing, he's been using like 3 to 4 balls, just changing as the lanes progress. He probably is throwing the Crossroads right now with the 1,000 on the shell. And that's giving him a smooth read.
That looked pretty smooth right there.
And that also could be the IQ Tour. I'm not sure if he's throwing the IQ Tour, which that's the new Storm ball. And that IQ Tour has got a 249 RG, and the differential's low at around 29. So, or actually 25, possibly that low. Somewhere in there. So it's going to be smooth, a little bit earlier hooking, and give a smoother reaction, controllable solid.
So we bowled 4 frames here, and Amleto's up by 3. Kenny, what are your early thoughts on how this match is going to progress, and who do you like to come out on top here?
Well, I like Amleto because he's been scoring really high, and comparable to Gary's scores, they're substantially lower. So, and of course, Amleto's the thoroughbred, and I'm not sure how much Gary's bowling right now. But Gary has had the good draws, and he's bowled good enough to win, but he hasn't bowled high, like we were mentioning before. His high set was 659, and usually that could lose easily. I know a lot higher scores that lost. So he's been managing to skate by. Let's see if he can do in this match. He's going to have to bowl better. Well, he left a 4-pinner. He's close. He's starting to get his zone. But he may be that line could be changing a little bit for him right now, and he's just trying to get his feet, maybe another board or two somewhere else. And So let's see what he does. 4-pin should be no problem. And he does make it.
So half a game in, and Leto with a 13-pin lead in this 3-game match.
Well, Leto looks like he's finally lined up, so he might not miss for a minute. Gary's still, he is close, but he's not locked in yet. And he needs to change that right away. Don't let Leto get out ahead of you too far, or he's going to freewheel it.
And I almost wonder if Dickinson, by playing out, is potentially setting it up for Amleto to bowl some high scores later on in this set, because he's kind of building a spot there that Amleto can kind of throw to. And you think that might be a possibility here?
Well, yeah, but if, you know, Amleto's going to burn the heads up a little bit more in there, so then he might have to move in more. Well, Gary's playing out so far, Amleto might not even be touching that yet. Later on, it could be a factor because the back ends, I saw them do that yesterday when they were playing out. The back ends got so tight on the pairs that they were swinging it on that the guys that were playing the gutter, they couldn't hardly get the ball to hook on the back end. Just the heads hooked and then it kind of straightened up. But that was on a late shot. This is on a fresh, so there's going to be a lot more transition early, and then they'll start shaping in. And as I suspected, Amleto has got a 3-bagger now, and he may make it 4 right here. Now, we've seen him do this all week now so far. In all the matches except the one against me, he has really bowled tremendous.
Amleto kind of cruising along here, although that one was a little light and mixes it up. Gets the 2 to go.
Now, you know, his ball does that more than anybody's ball I've seen. This week, I've seen him trip more 2-pins from behind because the angle is so extreme that, I don't know, for some reason the pins seem to come off the sideboards at the right angle and get that from behind almost 50% of the time. That's quite a high ratio.
So Dickinson already in some early trouble here. Down 23, 33 actually.
That was a good shot, but his ball's gripping a little early there because as soon as he lets the ball roll, then there's a lot of friction. When he gets more on the side, the ball's going to skid a little bit more, so he's kind of stuck in between right now. And, of course, with Amleto crowbarring him, which I mean by the shape of the ball, Amleto is way deeper to the left, and he's swinging the ball all the way around to Dickinson's spot. So Gary's still looking for a shot, and unfortunately Amleto is starting to get a pretty big lead in this game, and the worst thing you want to do is try to play catch-up with Amleto because he's super tough. The one way you can beat him is if you get ahead of him and you keep on putting it on him, then he has to, you know, basically strike every time, and then sometimes he just won't make the shots. But if you just let him get out there and freewheel ahead of you, he's going to make good shots every ball probably.
So Gary Dickinson falling behind here early in this match.
All right, now he got out of it a little quicker that time, so it was in between a full roll and a little bit of 3/4, you know, just a little bitty tilt with a little bit more speed. That looked good. The hitting power was better on that. Now, Amleto's ball doesn't have, we don't have to worry about the hitting power on this. It's going to just plow him. His rev rate's so high, he's crossing so many boards, and the ball's still so lively right before it hits the pins. It's amazing sometimes. The pins fly over towards a 10 like they're nothing.
Amleto working on 4 in a row. This is the 8th frame of the opening game of this match. Another perfect shot. Takes advantage of rolling the 2 in the last frame to keep the string going.
Well, before Amleto came out here the last couple of weeks, he worked with the rep from Brunswick, and they worked on his game. Well, obviously it's paid off. There have been some comments this week that he's throwing it better than he did on the regular tour. That could be debatable, but the performance level that he's had the last couple weeks after he won last week, and here he is again. Obviously, he's a threat to be bowler of the year right now, because if he could pull this one off, I don't know who would stop him. Back-to-back majors? I don't think that's been done, and if it has, I don't know who it would be by. We'll check on that and see.
Amleto trying to keep the string going here, and mixes it up for 6 in a row. Yeah, Kenny, I agree. If there's only 2 majors on the senior tour, and if Amleto wins both of them, you would almost consider him a lock for player of the year at that point.
Well, he's going to have an awful lot of points, because the point structure is 1.5 points on the majors, so
yeah.
that gives you your points plus another half of that. That's a big jump. So that's like winning 3 tournaments. If you win 2, give you a free one.
So Dickinson needs to find a way to strike.
Okay, and he still is struggling on 20. I don't know if he's struck on 20 yet this game.
He did in the 4th frame, it looks like.
No,
he could. Sorry.
He could be moving every time.
No, he has not struck. You're right.
He could be moving every time on that lane, but he might not be able to catch up to it with Amleto being left of him. He might just be moving a board or 2 each time, but he seems to be going high every ball.
And you can see by the scoreboard, you don't even need me to tell you that Dickinson's in some trouble here. The long string of strikes by Monticelli.
Amleto can go 270, I believe.
Yep.
And if he did, and that would be a 70-pin lead, because the most Gary can shoot now is 2-0. But again, Gary's been getting by because he's been grinding on it. That means he's been clean. And this game he has been clean, but Amleto's pulling away. And he moved. He moved more into the track. That's a better line. He's going to have to do something drastic, because he needs a strike, and strike now. He needs this one for sure to only make it a 60 some odd pin deficit. 50 to 60 is all it will be if Amleto marks or doubles. But he does need this one.
A strike here would get him in the 200s.
Slight glimmer of hope is he's got 2 more games, but he's going to have to start striking, because Amleto's not going to shoot too bad of a game, I don't believe, on this. Nope. And he got the ball a little bit wide, and it didn't have the same tilt, and the ball skidded. So, you know, there has been high scores, but yet that's been certain people. Their roles, more characteristics, actually react better on the lanes than other guys' roll, and they also carry better. And they're good. 3 nice factors to have.
So 197 for Dickinson, and Amleto can shoot 270 this game, which would be, I think, his average on this pair in match play.
If I was Gary, I wouldn't want to wish anything bad on anyone, but I would be hoping that Amleto would not strike on this ball, please. And unfortunately,
won't get his wish.
You can start seeing why Amleto's average so high on this pair. Look at what the ball, he's generating so much power, the pins are just reacting like they're nothing. Yeah, it's an amazing roll, and he's physically in great shape.
And the winner of this match will move on to take on Hugh Miller in our next match. The winner of that one takes on Mike Edwards and needs to defeat him twice.
That's going to be tough.
This is almost kind of like an elongated stepladder, except that it's 3-game matches and true double elimination.
Okay, well that saved him 10 pins. Amleto missed, so he's going to be down. Amleto's going to be in the 250s. So
259 with a spare.
He is going to be 60 pins down, which is a lot to be down with anyone, especially with Amleto, considering he's averaging 270 on the pair.
And someone in the chat asks a good question. Do they move pairs for the next match? They do. We will go from 19 and 20 to 17 and 18 for the next match. And then we'll go to 13 and 14 for the first championship match. And then if a second championship match is required, it'll be on 15 and 16.
I'm not sure if every pair is fresh.
17 and 18 was bowled on a little bit early on in the second round this morning. And
there was no re-oil.
And actually all three of those pairs have been bowled on once.
Okay, so see, now they're on a fresh pair, and then when they go to these other pairs, they're going to have the burn in there. So they're going to be playing a lot different angles, and the scoring pace might change.
So we start game one with Dickinson down by 62 pins.
You know, Dickinson can't afford to just grind and have the medium sets that he's been having and getting through with those. He needs to bowl around a 700 series at least. And if he has to do that, that means he's got to shoot a couple 250 games, and he needs them right now.
Oh, almost chopped it.
You see how that plastic ball is hooking? Now this is a plastic ball is not really supposed to hook, but that just shows you that there is friction. There's oil plus the friction. So even the plastic balls hook when they throw them down the middle.
You just have the feeling like this is Amleto's match to lose. And it kind of felt that way from the start.
Well, no matter what pair they were on, Amleto's level has been higher than most of the guys this week. And he's been consistently making good shots. So I expect him to continue to do that.
If you're just tuning in, you're watching live coverage of the USBC Senior Masters. Match play live from South Point Bowling Center in Las Vegas. Lucas Wiseman and Kenny Parks along with you.
And we're at beautiful South Point, which is a fantastic hotel, casino, bowling facility in Las Vegas. And they've been our hosts several times, and they're great hosts. So if you ever want a good stay in Vegas, you got to come up to the South Point.
Here's Amleto in the second frame, looking for the double.
And he stayed behind that ball beautifully, and he's on balance. Look at his balance, how he's just standing and just posing.
And a Greek church here for Dickinson in the second.
Amleto is throwing the crossroads, so we have established he's throwing the crossroads, and he has 1,000 surface on that, just trying to smooth it out, and it's working. Now, if that ball was polished, that ball would be a lot more skid flippy, but with the surface that it has, that makes the ball much smoother and hooks a little bit sooner in the mid lanes for him. That way the ball's not so squirty. You don't want the ball hydroplane. There's enough units on the front to make the ball hydroplane, so that stabilizes the outside shell of the ball, makes the ball roll and grip a little bit smoother and a little bit quicker.
That looks like it's a little right, 2-4-8-10.
Well, Gary doesn't have a good look, and he hasn't switched balls. He's just trying to move on to different areas. But like we talked about earlier, his shot's going to change the whole game now because he's playing right of Amleto, and his angle is totally different. His angle is much straighter, and he's trying to let the back ends take it in. Amleto is going around the lane, so he's going right through Gary Dickinson's points that he's playing and his angles. So that means Gary's shot's going to change constantly. So, you know, if I was Gary, I would move in. But again, Gary's rev rate isn't high enough to move in, I don't think, too much. So he may be trapped there.
And he's already down. Boy, it's approaching 80, 90, 100 pins here.
Well, it doesn't look good at all. It really looks like Amleto is going to cruise through this one because, you know, Amleto's not going to make a lot of bad shots. Now, he may not continue the pace that he's on as far as the scores, but also he might. I mean, it's possible he could shoot 300 on this pair. He has had 299, I know, on the pair before. And, you know, it's just been in his favor that he's been on this pair 3 times. Most of the time, that does not happen. But the
when you bowl
positions
as many matches that he has.
Right. He's still going, and most of the time, it's fantastic. And I see we got Mike Monyak, the director up here at the bowling center, and he runs everything. And Mike's a great host, and he hosts a lot of events here. So I'm sure he's impressed with Amleto's bowling, just like we are.
Well, 10 pin.
That was almost a blower 710, and we've had quite a few of those this week. Just because the ball, there's quite a bit of volume in the centers with a 2.5 to 1 ratio. So you know the ball's going to hydroplane sometimes, especially as the oil migrates to the back end. So that makes it lazy on its break. It doesn't want to finish as hard. So you may have to move a little bit now. Might start getting the transition a little bit. He's usually moved in on his transition moves to the left. And when he does that, he can make a better shot because then he can get his hand into the ball more, and the ball's going to finish.
It's a 109-pin lead for Monticelli here in the 4th frame of Game 2.
Well, Gary's got to start striking right now. And I still don't know if he's struck more than once on the right lane since we started. He does not like that lane at all. See what Gary's reaction is, you know, 2-8 on a decent shot, and then when he lets up a little bit, the ball's right through the nose. That's called jail.
So all indications are here that Amleto will be the one moving on, even though we've only bowled less than half the match. Gary Dickinson has shown no signs of being able to keep up with Amleto Monticelli.
Well, this would be a good line right now if you wanted to take Dickinson. I'm sure you could get some really good odds.
Yeah, I bet you could.
How about 100 to 1? Unless Gary turns into a superstar right here, he's going to be out the door in just a couple more balls.
5th frame of the 2nd game.
And that was better. But again, high. So his good shots that he's staying behind the ball hooks too much. Apparently, every time he tries to get the ball wider or move in, he cannot get it to come off the spot.
And I think you can tell by the speed in which Gary is now bowling that he probably realizes it's over.
Well,
because he got up awfully quick to shoot that. Hey, makes it. How about that?
That was a great shot.
That's why he's a Hall of Famer.
A must at this point.
Yeah.
You know. Watch Amleto do the same thing every time. All of his movements and the way that he's setting up. And he's relaxing, taking deep breaths. Watch and see if he stays on balance and down. And he rolled that ball smoother.
Split the 8-9 right in half.
Right. See how he just poses there? His head didn't even move. If you're looking to improve, we're not saying you got to throw the same rev rate as Amleto, but if you can keep your head down and still like that, it would help your game tremendous.
Monticelli up by 111 pins after a game and a half. It's probably one of the biggest leads we've seen all through match play this year.
Well, when I won the Masters in 2008, I had like that kind of a lead against Tom Baker after 2 games. So it was kind of anticlimactic. And, you know, so you know when you're in that position that you're probably not going to lose because the other guy's not going to shoot 300 and you're not going to shoot 180.
Yeah.
So.
And it's only the halfway point of the match, so Amleto has more room to even build it here in the 2nd game. He may not even need to bowl the back half of Game 3 at this rate.
Well, if Gary loses, that would put him in what position then?
That would be 4th place.
So he would get a 4th place check, which is going to be a real good check this week for him.
Considering he had very low expectations coming in and just wanted to maybe win a match or two and go home with a check, I think that Gary Dickinson will be pretty happy. The loser of this match gets $4,600.
Not a bad week's work. And, you know, Gary doesn't bowl much out here, so for him to just come to this one and make $4,600, that's a pretty good chunk of change for a part-time guy.
Yeah, 69 years old, and said he doesn't really bowl that much anymore. He's just taking it easy these days.
Yeah, well, I guess they take it easy down there in Texas, and that's where he lives. So it's time to get on the Strike Express or go home. Here we go. And
wash out.
It's kind of sad because he can't strike. And that's all that Amledo is doing right now. Well, stuff happens. And actually, to be in the position that he's in right now, not saying he didn't bowl good, but he bowled good enough to win.
That's all you got to do.
And that's all you have to do in this format. And that shows you that spares are very important, because a lot of games he had no look like this, but he still spared away and he got through his matches. So practice on your spares. Don't forget about that part of your game, because it doesn't matter how many strikes you have if you can't make a spare.
Well, Amledo just kind of pouring it on now. He's going to be up by at least 150 at the end of this game, it looks like. And he's going to move on and take on Hugh Miller in the next match.
That ought to be interesting, because Hugh Miller, I saw him shoot 800 on this also against Mike Diaz. And so you've had two players that have had as high as 800 series this week. And their scoring pace has been really high.
See if Amledo can strike again. I'll tell you what, Amledo may just want to move to Las Vegas and just set up camp on lanes 19 and 20 and bowl there for the rest of his life.
I think he could make a living on this pair.
He loves this pair. He may want to ask if he can carve it out and take it home to Venezuela.
But guess what, folks? He doesn't bowl on this pair anymore after this.
Nope, this is it.
This pair is not going to help him later. Gary might not strike this game. Seriously, his look is that horrible.
And he still has another game to go after this one.
And
at this point, I'm sure he's wishing it was just over.
I wouldn't want to be Gary right now, because, you know, he knows it's over and he's honestly trying, but just nothing's working. But yet he's still throwing the same ball. You know, I don't think he only owns one ball. He could switch.
Yeah, it's. I think maybe he just figures it's pretty much over now, so not really any need to push too hard.
If it was me, I'd switch.
Might as well. You want to try to see what's out there, I guess.
Well, you can figure this. You're not scoring with that ball. Why not use something else? And he refuses to do that, and he is paying every time because of it. He has no luck with that ball. No matter where he moves, I don't think he's going to get anywhere with that ball right now.
Well, take a look at the scoreboard. It's not a pretty sight for Gary Dickinson. Just 119 in the ninth frame, and Amledo can strike out for 279 this game.
Well, you know, the most unfair fight is a knife at a gunfight, and that's what we have right now.
Amledo has looked solid all tournament long and looking as good as ever in this round right now.
Well, there's your tale of the cities, basically. Watch Amledo's reaction. Looks like the lanes are pretty much walled up. Watch Gary Dickinson's reaction. it looks like the worst part of the lane you could bowl on in history right now. I mean, it is really rough for him. He's a great guy, though. He's lost before, and I don't know if he's ever going to lose by this type of a margin before, but it's going to be a pretty substantial difference in scoring.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to talk to Gary Dickinson yesterday for really the first time, and what a class act. Good guy. Seemed like he was just having a lot of fun out here regardless of the outcome. Kind of overachieved already, and pretty happy with how he has performed this week. So I don't think that he will leave here with his head hanging low. He's going to be happy with collecting the $4,600 check for fourth place, because it's way better than he thought he was going to do. I think he has realistic expectations for his age and and his ability level. He's not quite the same player he was when he won 8 PBA titles and 12 senior titles. So it's been 6 years since he even won a senior title. So it's been a while since he's been in a position like this.
Well, we did just have a news flash. Amleto made a bad shot.
Yeah.
3-6-10, but he made it easy.
And Monticelli is going to shoot in the 250s again here. 255 follows up after 259.
Okay, so he only made one bad shot that game. So like we were talking about, he's not going to give it back to him. So, even if Gary shoots 300 this game, which I'll bet that he probably won't, I don't think it's going to do him much good.
No, he's going to be almost out of the wood after a few frames of game 3.
He did, though, finally hit the pocket on that lane.
And left a 10 pin. So you're right. Doesn't look like any real hope for a strike this game.
No.
Unless he strikes on the fill.
And if he doesn't strike on the fill, that means he didn't even throw one strike this game.
Yep.
How many pros can you say? And in fact, I might even ask him if he's ever bowled a game before where he never struck. Well, he still has a chance one more time. Come on, Gary.
In fact, only 2 of his shots this game have been a 9 count. The rest have all been less than 9. And it looks like they're maybe having a ball return issue here. Or a dead wood, not sure what the issue. Yep, ball return. You can see Amleto signaling it. So they will do the ball return here and get it fixed for Gary. It looks like he's waiting on his strike ball. Well, I don't know if we can call it a strike ball. I can't call it a strike ball if it doesn't strike.
It's a round ball. It does say bowling ball on it, but
it's like
we're not sure what's going on. So
just like Rod Ross, the head coach of the training center in Arlington, says, you can't call your spare ball a spare ball unless you make spares.
That's true.
Kind of like a strike ball. You can't call it a strike ball.
Okay, here's his chance. He does it.
Hey, he got the strike. And the crowd goes wild. 139 tally for Dickinson.
Well, that was an unexpected score. We didn't expect him to bowl that poorly, but I can guarantee you it's because of Amleto. And I don't mean just Amleto showing up. I mean the way that Amleto's playing the lanes. Just Gary's got no chance.
I would guess that this game is going to go pretty fast. Amleto's up 174 pins going into this game.
I'm not sure we've had that much of a margin before going into the last game. 174.
And Amleto not backing down. He's still got to keep the feel because he's got 3 more matches to win if he wants to win the tournament.
Well, you know how you laugh about, pins on top of the deck, like when somebody throws a strike because they think the ball's weak, right? Well, he had 3 pins laying on top of the deck, but his ball's not weak. So if you said that about his ball, you'd be just laughable.
Dickinson.
Well, again, it's the same ball, and he has nothing. Yeah,
he's got his spare ball up in his hand before the rack even is set to go. And I think this is going to be a a real quick game, and we'll be on to the next match. It'll be Amleto versus Hugh Miller, and I think that one will be a little more competitive, if I had to guess.
Well, you could actually use your spare ball here right now and just go straight. At least it would be straighter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you don't have a good ball reaction, at least you could use your accuracy part of your game and try to do something different.
And a washout. And at this point, Gary's just throwing the ball, trying to get out of the way.
Well, I'm sure
here.
he's honestly trying, though. That's the thing. I'm sure he's honestly trying, but he just has nothing.
And Amleto up pretty quick. When you see the bowlers getting up this fast, you know that the match is over. And he can't even get any luck on the washout there. He almost made it, but left the 10 standing.
Well, that's just from the newer pins. They don't want to come off the sideboards as much. Sometimes they come off harder, sometimes they don't.
Amleto with the double.
Well, the difference in age here could be playing a part because Gary's bowled a lot of games this week, and Amleto is only 50. And Gary's 69. So, actually, he could be Amleto's dad.
He is old enough to be his dad. You gotta.
So
19.
And also, they have a history on tour because Gary Dickinson used to be on tour, so he's bowled Amleto many times, I'm sure.
Let's see if Amleto gets another one here. Looking pretty solid. He's going to be tough to beat in the next round.
Mentally, Amleto is very strong also, along with his physical game. Very strong.
I would guess that there's nobody in the field this week more physically fit than Amleto Monticelli.
Ron Moore.
Ron Moore, so maybe they can have like some kind of fitness competition or something.
They sure could. Actually, Ron Moore could be in better shape than Amleto because I don't think Amleto runs as much as he used to or anything. But it's a different way of his training compared to Ron Moore. Ron Moore is more setups and core and push-ups, stuff like that. Amleto, I think, is more isometric stamina, strength.
Which those things are all important for bowling formats like this, or especially for Amleto. He's bowling so many games in 2 days, so many matches. It's important to not only be physically strong, but mentally strong as well.
Well, what happens is if you eat right and you're in good physical shape, as the days progress, then you're bowling a lot of games. So the guys that aren't as strong, hey, you're going to make more bad shots because physically you're not strong. You're weaker. And the guys that are specimens, they're going to continually make good shots. So, you have to be in shape also, I think, is a big factor. And eating right helps your thought process. And when Amleto bowls, he's always eating as he's bowling. He's always snacking every couple games, protein stuff. I also saw Amleto using a wet towel this week, not on the bowling ball, but just to be able to get his hands clean. And that was a question brought up if that was legal. And the answer is that it is, as long as he's not using it on his bowling ball. He can use the towel that's wet to get the oil off of his hands. Then he'll put his hands onto a rosin bag or puffball type powder and dry them. And then if you do not put it on the bowling ball, you're all good. So you can't tap it onto the ball or anything and wipe it off anymore. That used to be able to do that, but you cannot do that now. And he went high again. So I don't know if his shot's changing or he's just letting off a little bit because, you know, he knows he's winning, so he might just not concentrate as hard. I don't know.
I think Hugh Miller smells blood in the water because he's already down here with his bowling equipment and ready to go, I think.
He
knows that match is virtually over, and he's ready to get going. They're scheduled to start at, I believe, 2:15. So may actually start a couple of minutes early. We'll see. Back on track for Monticelli. Fifth frame of our final game.
Well, Gary Dickinson strikes on his tough lane.
I think they've both been tough for Gary.
Yep.
Well,
he'd like to finish on a good note here. You know, let's shoot a 225 or so, or something decent, and let's get back to respectability. You know, just because he's bowled lower doesn't mean he hasn't bowled good this week. He's bowled really good. But the way that his roll is and stuff, it's not as easy for him to get to the pocket. Now that was nice.
Yeah.
That was
and a
nice.
Double.
Yep.
Might be his one of his first. I don't know if it might be his first double of the match. I'm not sure.
Well, he didn't shoot 200 the first game, but he was clean,
yeah.
so he might not have doubled the whole game. I don't think he did.
Might be his first double of the match.
Yeah, because he only had one strike on the right lane. So I think he only had 2 strikes the first game and 1 the second game. I could be wrong about the first game, but I know the second game he only had 1. And considering that Amleto is throwing 8 to 10 strikes a game right now, that's not going to go too far. The one thing good about it for the other guys is Amleto's not going to be on this pair again for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
They'll have to toss it out. I'm sure he's heartbroken over that.
The other guys are thanking their lucky stars that Amleto doesn't get the ball in 19 and 20 anymore because he has annihilated this pair in match play.
You know, our defending champion, Dale Traber, he got beat, I think, the first 2 matches right out of the gate yesterday morning. So his try for the back-to-back titles didn't go too far.
No, he got knocked out as quick as he can.
And you know, a defending champ, you're automatically seeded, but now USBC allows him to pace, so then that way, but he can get lower seed than what he is.
He was guaranteed the 64th seed in the bracket, so as long as he made the cut, he could improve that, you know, and into a better position.
Well, I'm trying to remember if he might have went in at the 32 position.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. They moved it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because see now the way when I won it in 2008, the format was the bracket was set up different. It was the old way, where they had divided it into quarters or something, and then they started taking 1 off of each side. So the number 1 guy actually bowled like 61.
Yeah, it was an older format that we used that was come up by a mathematician back in the 1950s or something, and we decided to go with a little more standard 1 versus 64 setup. And when we made that change, we also made the change that the defending champion, look at that, would either be seated 64th if they didn't make the cut, or they could bowl, actually they have to bowl qualifying to try and improve that number. But if Dale hadn't made the cut, then he would have been 64th.
I like the new format, the way that it got changed to better, because it's more fair. That is a championship bracket setup. And also, to give you an example of the problems that were from before with the other way that it was set up, when I won, first of all, I won it in Tucson, Arizona. Mm-hmm. Well, then the next year, they didn't have it in Tucson anymore, and it either came to here or one of the other places they had it at. And because of the leagues that were coming in after we were done, they never allowed me any practice or anything, and plus I couldn't pace. So basically I sat there all week watching everybody bowl, but I had no idea what the lanes were doing. I couldn't get on the lanes to practice. I was supposed to have a practice session. They ended up giving it to me like in the morning of the day of the tournament of the cut.
Yeah.
So I had to get up at like 5 o'clock, be on the lanes at 5:30 in the morning. So I bowled for an hour, and then there was no lane transition or nothing. So by the time we started, I still didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and
so it was a big disadvantage.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
now it's more fair.
Yep.
And I'm glad that they changed it back to what it should be.
Well,
and I appreciate the USBC, all the new guys that are in there. They've been very good about reviewing stuff, and if it could be done better, they're willing to make the changes. And for a long time, that was not happening. And I think that's a lot more open-minded, and that it's going in a really good direction because of that. And that's from all the directors and everything I've talked to. It looks like it's very positive, and looking for even a bigger one next year. Now, where will we be next year again?
It looks like it's going to be here again.
That would be fantastic.
That's the rumor. No deal has been signed yet, but that's what they're talking about. And Mike Woniak and the staff here do a great job. We enjoy being here. I think the players enjoy being here. It's a good setup, a good location, and it looks like we might be here next year.
Well, as you can see, Lato's continuing to bowl excellent, and he's making one good shot after another. This match has been over with for a while. That's why we're talking about other stuff too,
right.
Just to keep you informed about what's going on, and letting you know that USBC is working hard to improve this event. So if you're considering ever bowling in this, it'd be a good venue to bowl in, and hope to see you next year.
Yeah, and one great thing about being here at South Point, the room rates are really great, so you don't have to spend a lot of money on hotel rooms. I think my room, $40, $45 a night, whatever it is, on weekdays. So that's another real advantage to having the event here.
It was definitely reasonable, and they go out of the way for the bowlers that do come here, so you can make it affordable, and you can be right here at this venture. And of course, with them sponsoring the event also, it'd be a good place to be. You always want to contribute to anyone that is involved in the bowling industry that helps the tournaments get organized, and that's who you give your business to.
Yeah, and big thanks to the folks here at South Point, because not only are they hosting the event and doing a great job, they also put $20,000 into the prize fund this week.
That's lovely.
Yeah, and that's a lot of money for senior bowling.
It is a lot. And this is one of our bigger prize funds of the year.
A final shot coming up here for Gary Dickinson. It's been a great tournament for him. He's exceeded his own expectations, finishing 4th this week, and he will go home with a smile on his face.
And this could be his first 200 on the pair, and it is. And he finishes on a good note. And that was a good week by Gary Dickinson at age 69. He actually made a good run at this, and he could have possibly been the first 3-time champion, and that would have been big shoes to fill, but he gave it a good run, and I'm sure we're going to see him next year. So hats off to Gary Dickinson this week.
Yeah, among all the 2-time champions who are still bowling, I think Gary Dickinson might have been the last one that you would pick to win again. You would think that Tom Baker and Dale Traber would be the two, that are more actively bowling, but Gary Dickinson beat them all this week.
Yep, he sure did. And I saw a lot of guys bowling that lost bowling a 700 series this week, and they still got beat.
Gary didn't even sniff 700 this week, and he still made it to 4th. So
right, that's amazing. That's amazing to be able to do that, because
he must play good defense.
Well, some of the pairs are really brutal, and the guys that can just grind on it, they can shoot a medium score. That's good enough on a lot of the pairs, because, you're getting, after the fresh, they just start transitioning, and it depends on who bowls on them. Some of the pairs, before anybody plays on them, are totally different than others.
And how about this? Amleto is going to shoot 250, 250, 250, 259, 255, and 257 if he strikes here.
Well, it sounds like a 770 series. So that's a little bit off of his average.
Yeah, just a little.
He's going to have to start working a little bit harder because he's starting to go downhill a little bit, eh?
His average is slipping on this pair. Jim Callahan
So
says
his average is probably down into the mid 260s now.
257 for Amleto. 771 to 538.
Wow, what a drubbing.
Man.
Knife at a gunfight. We talked about it earlier.
So we will wait for Amleto to get composed here and ready to go for the next match. He's going to take on Hugh Miller. We're going to get our cameras set, and it should get started pretty soon here. So stick around. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes here on Bowl TV. welcome back as we are ready to get started with Hugh Miller versus Amleto Monticelli. For the right to face Mike Edwards for the title.
Well, as you can see, Hugh went high the first ball. They're on a burn pair. That means that the pair was used earlier during the day, so it's not a fresh condition. It looks like he's throwing a regular Theory. That's a roto grip, and that's a solid.
And you know, Hugh Miller actually bowled on this pair this morning.
Who did he bowl against? Do you remember?
He bowled Gary Dickinson on this pair, and Hugh shot 637.
Well, then knowing that, I don't think he's going to have much confidence on this pair because the shot didn't change any. If he only had 637 the first time, he might be trying to play a different place on the lanes this time.
So you're watching match play here at the Senior Masters. Amleto Monticelli with a strike in the first frame. I'm Lucas Wiseman, along with 2008 Senior Masters champion Kenny Parks, who towers over everybody else in the field. How tall are you, Kenny?
I'm 6'8".
6'8".
I was listed in ESPN magazine as the tallest professional bowler.
Wow.
Along with the shortest bowler, they put us in there with compared to all the other sports. I don't remember who the shortest bowler was, though.
Well, that's a pretty cool stat, though. Did you play anything other than bowling growing up?
Yeah, I played a lot of basketball, a lot of softball, stuff like that, all sports. But I liked bowling the best.
And it's worked out well for you.
Thank you.
And we watch Amleto here in the second frame. Amleto's been bowling pretty good. And look at that pin just kind of flopping around on the deck like a fish out of water.
Well, you know, Amleto's release was smoother on that, so he must be playing to the right more because he's not really banging on it. He's just kind of staying behind the ball with a little bit of wrist action, trying to be smooth, but that was smoother than most, so he needs to maybe catch it a little bit more.
It leaves the 10 pin here, so it's the righty versus lefty battle in this round. The loser of this match will finish third and earn a prize check of $6,000.
I haven't really seen Amleto miss any spares this week. Of course, he probably hasn't shot that many either on a lot of pairs, so with the less percentage, you're not going to miss as many also. Here's Hugh Miller.
Hugh is coming off a tough loss against Mike Edwards in the final of the winner's bracket, I guess is essentially what you would call it. And I talked to Hugh a little bit after that match, and I said, hey, what was going on in that match? Because he was lost for most of the match on one lane or the other. And he said that he's pretty much been lost most of the tournament with the exception of shooting 800. You know, he's not really being real confident with his ball reaction, I guess. So just kind of luck of the draw to get this far.
He's been getting by kind of on the Dickinson pace on a lot of the sets, but he's bowled good enough to get this far, and he does not like the left lane.
Yeah, it leaves the 2-4-7-10 split makeable, but not what you want to see. It comes on a strike, so it's not does not hurt his count.
I'd say his percentage would be probably 50% of making this one.
I like it. I think you're right, and I think he's going to make it here. He's going to slide that 2-pin over. Let's take a look. Ah,
and he does.
How about that?
Well, the mind reader's sitting right next to me. Now, reading his mind, what's Amleto going to do on this one?
High flush strike.
High flush, he says. Okay, let's see.
Considering his strike percentage is about 85% today,
okay.
I think it's a pretty safe bet.
Well, you know, if it was Walter Ray, he'd tell you exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, what was funny, Walter Ray was saying the first day his carry percentage was 82% or something, and then the next day it was like 61. So he actually tracks it.
Yeah, he's got his phone that he punches all the numbers into.
Yeah.
So let's see if I'm right. Let's see if Amleto goes high flush here in the third frame. That's right. And I was wrong. He leaves the 2-7-8 split.
Okay, so did you see the ball reaction there? The ball's not coming off the back ends. It's hard because there's carry down on the lanes. And we were talking about when Gary was bowling how, some play that was happening yesterday. The guys were playing the gutter, but on the pairs that the guys were throwing the big benders, the back ends closed up, which I mean they got oil and dirt on them, and they don't hook as much. So he's experiencing some of that now because he swung that ball wider. Normally that would come off the spot harder, but because he spun it, the ball continued to hydroplane longer. He makes the spare. Not the textbook way of making it, but he used the sideboard as his friend.
And Leto has bowled some really big sets here in match play. He lost his first match to the man to my left, Kenny Parks, but he went through the elimination bracket unscathed. He won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches in the elimination bracket and bowled sets of 831, 792, 724, 707, 771. He's bowled some big sets.
Well, it's a double elimination format. I set him up for somebody to take him out later, but nobody has yet. See?
Oh, look at this.
Look at the carry down.
Yeah.
Now, the same ball reaction he had earlier, he would have struck right there. That ball's not making the corner. Now what's he going to do? Now, typically for his rev rate, he doesn't want to get too square. He wants to always go away from the pocket if possible. So we'll see what kind of adjustments he makes. But Hugh Miller's got to like what he's seeing here. But Hugh Miller's not really lined up good either, so he's got his own problems.
Yeah, I was looking back at Hugh Miller's scores in match play. And aside from the 803 that he bowled against Mike Diaz, in which he was bowling with a fellow lefty, his scores have not been really outrageously high. 667, 659, 667, 637, 603. So he's not bowled many huge scores.
Well, when he said he bowled against Diaz, he said he had an advantage because he could see how the lanes were transitioning by Diaz's reaction also. But as you can see now, he just got the ball to the left more. And that has been hooking more as they move towards the gutter. But right now it is not. That means that the pattern, because it's been setting there, it was a bubbled pattern like a 2.5 to 1 ratio. A lot more oils in the center of the lane. But as gravity and the lanes set, that's going to flatten out more. So the oil's going to travel out farther towards the gutter. It's going to move out there more. And along with the play that's been on the lanes prior, that could make a tougher pair than either one of these guys have played on. It seems like as the day progresses, the lanes get worse. So that's been the pattern. And right now we're looking at a moderately scoring match rather than high scores.
And
but
it's a 16-pin lead for Hugh Miller after 4 frames.
Anybody could get hot on this, so as we've seen, they are high scoring also. Now that was a nice shot. He stayed inside more and went around it. So let's see if he can play the same shot on the other lane. Usually you haven't been able to stay in the same place. Some of the guys have even used 2 different balls on each lane. One ball in one lane, one ball in the other. And Leto knows that he doesn't have what he had earlier, so maybe he's going to switch balls. Let's see. He was throwing a crossroads. And he has made a ball switch.
Yes, he has.
He went to the frantic. That's the ball he's been hooking the lane with, and it works. See, now he's had 3 or 4 balls that he's been going through this week that he has them tuned in for different parts of the lane. When he used a frantic against me yesterday, that wasn't the ball he needed. He had the ball down to a marble. Most of the time today he's been throwing a crossroads, And but the crossroads is hydroplaning too much, so he can't get the ball off the spot. So now he's went to a ball that has more friction with a stronger layout, and we're going to see what he does on this lane now with it.
Sixth frame and the first game of our three-game match here. The winner will take on Mike Edwards for the title, and that ball splits the rack for the double.
Okay, now he can feel confident because the ball change that he made and the move that he made did work. So now he's got to feel good about it, and he is familiar with that part of the lane. Now Hugh Miller needs to see if his reaction is the same. He's going to probably try to stay in the same place and just go around it a little bit more. Now he got that in, and it hooked. See, I didn't like that off of his hand. I thought he drifted a little bit more to the right on that. And that ball never got out to the area that he was on the other lane. He missed by at least 2 boards.
And leaves the 4-6-7 split. And that'll put Amleto in the lead.
Well, earlier he was trying to go straighter up. Now he's trying to swing the ball over to that point. He may end up switching balls here too. We're going to see what he decides. He's still with a theory.
Watching our live coverage of the USBC Senior Masters here at the South Point Bowling Center in Las Vegas. Hugh Miller versus Amleto Monticelli.
Okay, he just switched balls there. And that would be the crossroad. He went to a crossroad also. Okay, Amleto can start to get into the lead here a little bit stronger. He is in the lead right now by a few.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for Amleto to try to build a lead.
He actually has a really good look right now with that ball, contrary to the ball that he started with. But he was striking in practice with that ball, so see how either he didn't throw it the same or the lane changed that quickly that he's had to go to this other ball. Well, Hugh Miller hasn't really been touching his area, so he either started throwing it different or the lane changed so much on him that he just didn't want to deal with that anymore. But you notice that his ball switch was in the 4th frame. That's a pretty quick move. When you're bowling in a tournament like this and you don't have a lot of games, you need to make quicker decisions. His quick decision might let him go off the sheet. Now see, on that shot, he extended more with his arm and he pushed it through the break point. He did not let that ball roll up as much. So that's why he got the light hit on that. He just struck on that lane earlier, so obviously, you know, he did not make the same shot. And he was a little bit different on his approach and also at the line. So not a good shot for Amleto. Now Hugh Miller needs to see if this ball's going to work over here now. And I don't know if this lane's hooking or not more than the other one, but it looks like he is deeper on this lane. Well, he's high again. He doesn't like 18, but I really don't think he's throwing it as good on 18. It looks like he's getting a little bit more square with his shoulder. What I mean by that is, compared to the line, he still wants to have his shoulder back a little bit or open so that he can get the ball to the left. That's what he's trying to do.
Wow, almost missed the
So
spare.
the reason he can't get it to the left is because his shoulder is closing a little bit too soon, so it makes it go straighter down the board and to the right. So it never gets to the point that he's really looking at with his eyes.
Monticelli leads by 14 pins after 8 frames. We've got 2 frames to go here in this opening game.
Well, watch Hugh. He pushes into the middle of his body, then he walks that way a little bit, and then he comes back and opens up. That was a better shot. And a better result.
Packs all 10 back for the strike in the 9th frame.
Now, usually with these guys, when they're getting ready to let go of the ball, you can tell if they're throwing the ball good or not because usually their hand's directly behind it. So just watch on their release, and if their hand stays behind the ball, it should be a pretty good shot.
Wow.
Okay, now see, his hand did stay behind it, but he rotated it just a little bit with his wrist, and then the ball skidded. Now, all of a sudden, his reaction's not as good.
He's having some problems here with some noise. The phone is ringing at the front desk, and he heard that in the middle of his backswing, and he looks annoyed by that.
Well, you know, everybody tries to keep as quiet as possible, but I mean, there's just some things that you can't control. I mean, one time we were bowling here and the fire alarms went off and they couldn't keep them off, and about every 15 minutes they would come on and everybody would have to stop. But that was just a one-time thing. Normally everything runs smooth and flawlessly here. South Point's a great venture.
And it's hard because it's so quiet in here that any abnormal noise is going to be magnified. And a phone ringing at the control counter, while it would have absolutely no impact virtually at any other point in the tournament, it does now because this is the only match going on.
Yeah, you can hear a pin drop in here, and it's an awful big building, and there's a lot of people. Now he got that in.
Wow, crosses over for the strike.
Okay, see, now he's varied his approach on the last couple also, so I don't know if he's trying to do something different or it's because he tried to move or what. But a second ago, he wanted to be with the hooking ball, and he moved in, and he liked it. Now, I don't think he likes it as much. I think his mental game is going to have to figure something out here right now. Now I see he's picking up another ball. So this could be the IQ tour now he might be going to.
There are kids yelling in the game room, and Amleto's going to back off a little bit and try to regroup.
Well, luckily he's on the same lane here again, so now he can, if he can make a good shot, he can get a good read on it before he throws one more ball after that. That looks better. But it hit flat. But the shape was better, and that's what he needs, to see a good shape like that, something he can just play with for a second, and then maybe he can get it tweaked and adjusted and start stringing again. But this is already his third ball change, and we're in the first game.
And he only shoots 185. Now phones are ringing again, and Amleto's not happy.
Okay, well, we see a little bit of a chink in the armor right now. We see a frustration level we haven't seen before. And also, he knows that he doesn't have as good of a look. So, you know, it's going to take him throwing a few balls on a good line here and getting a few strikes before he's going to get that back. So we may see him struggle for a little bit first. And, you know, Hugh Miller is not pressing him yet, but he could actually start putting a little bit of heat on him if he could strike here. He's up by 2.
He could strike out for 207. That would give him a 22-pin lead going into the second game.
That looks like a good shot. And he strikes. He trips out the 4-6-10. Kind of an unusual hit, but the ball broke so sharply on the back end and he rolled it so good that the angle was just so steep that he got actually a good pin action out of that.
You can see Amleto talking with Storm rep Jim Callahan. trying to come up with a game plan for game 2.
And see, again, we talked about this being a burn pair. You know, these pairs can get brutal, and when they do, they're tricky because you throw one shot and you think you threw it good, and it doesn't react, and then the next shot you overcompensate, and it goes right through the nose. And we saw Gary Dickinson have that type of reaction, and he scored poorly. And, you know, Hugh Miller's reaction isn't that good. He's going to be like a 190 game. So it's 190 to 185 after Amleto just came off 3 250 games. But again, that pair, he loved that pair, and that's the pair that he scored the highest. So the other pairs aren't the same.
196 for Hugh Miller.
But Hugh Miller's close now. That's the one good part about Hugh. Hugh's close. He's still got the right lane hooking more, but he might be able to make one more adjustment, and then maybe he'll be locked in.
So 196, 185. Hugh Miller leads by 11 after the first game.
I'd feel good if I was ahead of Amleto by 11. I actually never had that luxury when I bowled him. He was ahead of me for the first game, and then I got back and got within 2 pins of him the second game, and then I got him good the third game. So just hang close, and then maybe good things can happen. But again, Amleto is very dangerous, and when he gets locked, he can throw more strikes than anyone that's left in the tournament right now. So let's see if the discussion between the ball rep and himself can come up with a game plan, and he's going to start his new game plan right now. And he moved to the right, and that is a modern marvel now, and he has never thrown that ball this week that I know of. He's moved to the right now with a softer cover.
See if Hugh Miller can answer here in the first frame.
Well, he's been high almost every ball on this lane. If he can get light here, and he did. So he's made a little bit more of a move in for the lefty that would be to the right. He's moved with his feet a little bit more. Now, if you wanted to just create a little bit more angle away there, but kind of play the same zone, he could just move his feet a board or two, but not really move his target, but just maybe look his eyes down that target a little bit longer, and that would give him a little bit smoother shape and still get around the same break point. And that's a good shot.
Shreds the rack for the double.
Okay. Now, you know, depends on what Amleto does.
So Amleto down by 11 pins coming into this game, and Hugh Miller started with a double, so that means Amleto now down 21.
Okay, see, this is where you want to have Amleto. He doesn't like being behind. He likes to be ahead. If you can get ahead of him and just keep putting it on him, he's eventually not going to make the shot.
Ball change again.
Wow, see, now you have to have a lot of experience to be able to do stuff like he's doing right now. He's trusting it. He made a good guess. He went to a totally different ball, totally different line. I guess the rep and him talked about it, and they decided that he needs to go a little bit straighter, so that's what he's done. He's got to the right more with his feet. He's increased his ball speed, and he's staying down better. So let's see if he can continue to strike and try to hold off Hugh Miller, who's still leading by 12.
Again, the winner of this match will face Mike Edwards for the title immediately following this match ends. Here's Amleto to pull to within 1, and that ball drove right through the pocket perfectly.
Well, I watched his ball cross on that, and he's crossing like 12 at the arrows. So ball's probably traveling to 7 at the break point at the farthest to the right. So he's got a little tube in there.
Can Hugh Miller answer? He liked it. Oh, had a pin kind of flying around behind the 7 and doesn't take it out, so.
Yeah, the flyer came across, but unfortunately it didn't hit it. He could have used that hit right there to stay even in this game. But he is lined up good on that lane now, so he still feels confident. Now Hugh needs to strike here and just keep the heat on Amleto a little bit. He's still ahead by a little.
No, it's actually even now, I think.
Okay.
Because there's 11 pins coming into this game. I'll give you a look at the scoreboard here. And with Amleto starting with the front 3, we are all evened up. You can still hear the kids in the background in the arcade.
That's nice off his hand.
Doesn't seem to be bothering Hugh at all as he sends the pin across again, and it leaves the 7.
Well, you know, like I said, they bowled on that pair before. And so, you know, the back ends are not as clean. I expect some soft 7s like that. Even though he made a good shot there, that's all he can do. After that, it's all up to the bowling gods. And his good spare shooting continues.
Watching live coverage of the USBC Senior Masters here on Bowl TV. Lucas Wiseman and Kenny Parks with you at South Point Bowling Center in Las Vegas. Championship match will be coming up immediately following this one. I want to remind you, we'll have live coverage this evening from Baton Rouge at the Open Championships. Wendy McPherson, Carol Giannotti, and Carolyn Dorn Ballard on the lanes starting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Bowl TV.
Boy, he did not make a good shot at all there. He missed that ball totally. The ball traveled too far outside of the area we were discussing earlier that he just moved into, and he missed the head pin to the right. Which again, that ball's been coming back all week, except after the guys ball on the pairs and there gets carried down on the back ends. That's why this tournament's really hard.
Covers it up though. As we take a look at the scoreboard again, Amleto's made up 8 pins this game, and so with that loss in count, he actually trails in the match by 3 as we're closing in on the halfway point of this 3-game match.
You know, this has been a good condition for the bowlers this week because it's played to a lot of different shots. In other words, you can play multiple angles of attack. That's the kind of conditions that you want for a Masters so that most of the guys can play their A game. And see, now he over-rotated on that ball and actually threw it better, but that's way too good of a shot for where he's standing. You know, Amleto is not really a straight player. He likes to swing the lane. I can give you an example of who was a really good straight player that likes to swing the lane. That's Bob Learn Jr. His straight game is fantastic, and he can bend the ball more than anyone from the left side of the lane. So Amleto's going to have to figure something out here, and he might miss that, and he barely covers it. That's hooking a lot for a plastic ball.
Just does get it.
Wow, I didn't think he was going to make that one. But hey, things have been going good for him, so that's another good thing to continue. Now Hugh Miller can step up and get back into the lead here.
I think if you're Hugh Miller, this is kind of you couldn't have asked for this first game and a half to go any better than it has. This is almost a kind of a dream start for him to have Amleto struggling with ball reaction, not throwing a lot of strikes, and You know, Hugh probably real pleased with where this match is at right now.
Well, I talked to Hugh Miller prior to going on the air, and we discussed on, I'm sure he was really happy about Amledo not being on that other pair, and he's not going to see that pair anymore. So just out of that alone, I would be happier to bowl Amledo now on a pair that's burnt, because he's not going to be able to be as comfortable. The lanes are going to be much harder. He's not going to have as much room, and that's proving to be a fact. He does not have as much room. He's already missed a lot compared to how he was bowling earlier. So, you know, he may continue to struggle a bit, but then all he has to do is go talk to the ball rep, and possibly they can come up with another scenario. And Hugh Miller's just doubled.
Now he's up by 16 in the match after that double. Let's take a look at the scoreboard.
Okay, he's making another ball switch.
He's made a lot of ball changes this set so far.
Well, that means a lot of things. One thing is he's in trouble, because if he has to continue to switch balls, that means he has no confidence in the line he's playing, no confidence in the ball he's using.
That one goes through the face and leaves the 410. Not exactly what he was hoping for out of that ball.
That ball was smoother, though. That was either the IQ Tour or the Crossroads, I believe.
I don't know that we've seen Amledo look this confused.
Well,
all
again,
week.
we talked about it, okay? He moved in with the frantic. He moved deeper. He struck right away with it, but then when he made a little bitty mistake, then he lost the room. So when he got it wide, the ball did not come back. And then when he helped it, it went right through the face. So he didn't like that ball reaction. Then he goes to the Marvel Solid, the modern Marvel, and he moved out and got firmer. And he liked it for a second, but all of a sudden he got around one, missed the head pin, got around another one, went right through the face. So then let's get rid of that. So he just made that ball switch, and on the other ball switches he struck right away. This time he didn't.
I hear noise again in the background. I wonder if that's going to frustrate Amledo again.
Okay, he moved in like 16.
Pulls it through the face and leaves the 6-7. And he is in some trouble.
Well, again, dictated by the lanes. These lanes are harder, and now all the mistakes are showing up. He's not even lined up right now, and Hugh Miller is. So he's going to have to figure something out right away. He's getting to the point where he's going to have trouble shooting 200 this game if he doesn't make the spare. And he does not.
Yep, it's an open frame, 129 in the 7th frame. As we take a look at the scoreboard again.
So right now, Amledo can only shoot 210, and actually, if Hugh Miller was to go off the sheet this game, he could shoot 268, which would be a substantial lead, even for against Amledo. Although Amledo has came down from a 40-pin deficit earlier in the tournament against Walter Ray.
This is for 3 in a row.
That's a good shot.
7 again. 3 7-pins this
Hugh
game.
Miller's got a great shot right now. He's going to leave some flat 7s there, but he can get to the pocket, and he's got a little bit of room. If I was a betting man, which I'm not because I've been in Vegas for 2 weeks and I haven't spent one penny. But if I was a betting man right now, I'd bet on Hugh Miller, and here's why. Because Hugh Miller's got a shot, and he's not going to just go away. He doesn't really throw a lot of bad shots. He just keeps on grinding on it over and over. He's not crossing as many boards. And right now, when they're uglier, the guys that can go a little bit straighter are going to have an advantage. That's what Hugh has. and Amleto is not even lined up.
39-pin lead for Hugh Miller at this stage with 13 frames left in the match. And Miller is looking pretty solid here so far.
He's got a simple game, just back and forth with his swing, kind of methodical. Stays down good. He's also a jogger, stays in shape. Now Amleto just has no clue what to do right now. I think you got to move deeper. I watched his last shot, and I think the answer would be maybe like something like a 5-2 and just see what that's offering. But we'll see what he does. He hit 16 last time at the Eras, and the ball was high. So.
Eighth frame.
And he did. He went to 20.
Mixes him up for the strike, gets the 9 out.
Okay, so see, now that was a really good guess. All right. Remember, it's a guessing game, right? Okay. So when he hit 16 before, the ball just duck hooked right before it got to the pocket. So let's say the pocket's on 17. If the boards were numbered, the pocket would be right around the 17 board. Well, if it hits the head pin, that's like 20. Okay. So if you in a mathematical equation, you could say that's 3 boards, right? Okay. So let's at least move 3 to the left. That would be just something you could make a small move with, something that you could calculate. He moved more than that, but that would be an easy way to figure that out.
Let's see if it works again here. He is way further left. Wow,
see,
he's happy.
I like that because now he's in his wheelhouse. I like that a lot. Okay, now he's got a chance. But that was a huge move. That was at least 5 that he made with his feet, and probably 3 or 4 on his target line.
So the double for Amleto cuts it to 29-pin deficit. Hugh Miller looking for a double of his own. Looks like he pulled it. You could tell when he let it go that it was going to be right off his hand.
Well, again, his shoulder's closing, and he also looked like he drifted more to the right on that shot than he had before. He kind of drifts to the right and then comes back to the left. So something didn't work for him there. But he's still leading.
Still a 29-pin lead for Hugh Miller after 19 frames of competition, 11 frames to go in this 3-game match.
Well, Hugh's got his favorite shirt on today, the check shirt. He likes that one. Looks like kind of a tic-tac-toe board in the front. That's one of his favorites.
It's a pretty sharp-looking shirt. 10th frame now. Miller can strike out for
this is a good lane.
227. Oh, the messenger goes across in front of the 7. How many times has that happened this game?
4.
Wow. He's
Well,
had 4 7-pins this game.
There's been 4 7-pins, I know. He only sent the messenger twice, actually.
Yeah.
But he's still in a good position. You know, his carry's not that good, but he's not lost by any means. He's got a good shot to the pocket, and Amleto's still wondering, you know, he went light on one shot, and the other shot he ripped the rack, so he's still in question of his line. So he's going to find out some answers now when he's coming up, and hopefully he can double here and get ahead of Miller.
Looks like Hugh's going to go to the bag and try to find another ball to throw off for the fill, try to gather some information for the last game.
Always a smart play, especially when you're bowling out here on tour. And you could be satisfied with the ball that you're throwing, but sometimes if you throw another ball and just see what it does, it may react even better. And what you're looking for is the best results you can get. So don't be scared to use a different ball on your fill even though it cost him 2 pins on his count right here when he leaves a blower 7-10. Okay?
He sits at 410 after 2. 196, 214 for Miller. Amleto shot 185 the first game, and Amleto can strike out for 219 this game. So Amleto will trail.
I'm sure Hugh
a little
was
bit, no matter what.
looking for more hitting power than that, so we'll see what he does when he starts the next game. Here's Amleto going for a 3 in a row.
Oh,
okay, he made a good shot, but he rung a 10. Okay, so see, now that's the kind of stuff that can happen to you. He's got lined up now, and right away, instead of stringing, he's going to hang that 10. So, you know, sometimes when things aren't going your way, you end up getting breaks like this, where you make a good shot and you can't strike.
Again, the championship match will be coming up after this. The winner of this match moves on to the championship and will take on Mike Edwards, and he misses the 10. Wow, what a mistake in the 10th frame.
Well, that's probably out of frustration. And, you know, that just added to it. Now he's going to be down a little bit more.
39 pins.
39 pins against Hugh Miller. He's at about in the same position he was against Walter Ray now. And when he bowled against Walter Ray, he shot 280 the last game. So he's going to need something like that, because Hugh Miller is capable of shooting at least a 220 with the line that he has. I'm sure he could easily do that if he throws it good. But so far, he hasn't even scored that high himself.
I think Amleto's probably disgusted with himself, missing that single pin and costing him, you know, I guess 11 pins right there.
He's a good spare shooter. I did see him miss another single pin earlier in the week, but normally he doesn't. And I did see Walter Ray miss one too, so that shows everybody's human.
So Hugh Miller will start off the third game. Starts it off in style.
Okay, it looks like he went to the high road now, which that has 1,000 on the surface. That's a low pin underneath the ring finger.
You're watching live coverage of the USBC Senior Masters here on Bowl TV. Appreciate you tuning in. Our biggest audience of the week thus far. Closing in on 1,000 viewers, Kenny. That's a pretty good number for Senior Masters bowling.
Very nice. I wish we were a little bit more popular, because the action's great, and we're going to have a really good match coming up in a little bit.
Yeah, so spread the word on Facebook and Twitter. Let everybody know you're watching our live coverage today here on Bowl TV. And Leto goes a little wide on that one.
Yeah, for everyone that's on Facebook, just go on Facebook and send out to your friends to remind them that Bowl.com is on live right now, and we're covering the Senior Masters. I'm sure everyone would be excited to watching this event, because they haven't got a chance to see Amleto bowl in a long time, and he's here live on TV. So get on Facebook and let them know.
Right now, Amleto in some trouble. Down 39 pins with 9 frames to go against Hugh Miller.
I think if I was him, I would go to the frantic in there, because that ball's stronger, and then if he gets it wide, it should hook enough. But he's still going to have to make a little bit better shots on this. He just doesn't have the room that he had on the other pairs right now. You know, when he made the move into fourth arrow, he's getting on a fresher part of the lane. Not too many guys would play that type of an angle. But also you're dealing with the carry down on the back end, so he gets it to his break point. There's still a lot of little lines in there of oil that weren't there earlier. No,
wow.
he made a good shot there.
Ball drives right past the 9 pin.
Yeah,
though.
but I mean, he's having to really stay down more to be able to hook the ball as much as he wants in there, and he's making sure that he's catching it. But then it's going to hook a little bit more, and that's why he left the stone 9. But that was a lot better shot, but he's just not lined up to make that kind of a shot. He needs to move deeper.
And all
like
indications
I said, I
are
would go to the frantic.
all indications are that Amleto's in a lot of trouble here, down 39. And if Hugh Miller steps up and strikes in the second and the third, he'll take a lead in excess of 50 pins, and that's going to be real tough for Amleto to overcome.
I think Amleto should make one more ball switch, but I don't know if he's going to.
Seems like Amleto may need to try some drastic measures.
That's
here.
wide.
That is really wide. And that actually will tighten things up a little bit if Hugh has an open frame here.
Well, you know, that's another way to catch up in the match is the other guy comes back to you, okay? So if Miller doesn't make this, Amleto gains 10 back that he was already down. Just riding the pine, sitting on the bench. It's always fun when that happens, but you don't want to root against your opponent. But when you're down, you always like to see the guy not strike.
It's kind of what Amleto needed at this stage, the way things are going. So Hugh Miller shooting a 3.
He might make that.
6-7.
And that was a really good shot at it. It was good off his hand.
Yep. It looked like he had thought it had a chance, and it was pretty close.
Yeah, it was very close.
He has the open frame now, so Amleto picks up 13 pins so far this game, down 26.
Well, what's happened is the 2.5 to 1 ratio is not what it was before. So it's a much more flatter pattern than it started out earlier this morning. And now you're seeing the balls react that way. Now he threw that better, and he still can't get around the corner. Again, the carry down on the back end is affecting their release. As soon as they try to square up and get a little bit more speed, the ball will not make the pocket. But if he lets up a little bit, the ball will go right through the nose. So the guessing game again, what do you do? Hugh doesn't have to do a lot because Monticelli's not pressing him. But still, you don't want to be sitting there trying to bowl and only shooting spares all the time. You want to still be able to put some strikes on your opponent and keep the heat on them. That's the only way you're going to beat Monticelli. You got to keep on putting the heat on him.
So Amleto down by 26 with
the good
7
news
frames
is
to go.
he can still shoot 279. The bad news is he's not lined up.
Things looking a little better than they did a couple of frames ago, though, for Amleto.
Now he moved in more. Okay, now that ball went like 21 and went out to the back marker, all right? He needs to be 2 boards right of that back marker, and then that ball would have been flush. But instead, he hit the marker or got it 1 board left of that, and that means that the ball is going to take off towards the head pin harder because it's a little bit cleaner in that area. A little bit more friction. That's more in the track on the back part of the lane. Okay, 3 spares. That's not a really good offense, so he needs to start striking.
He's down 27 pins right now.
It's getting late.
Ball change coming up.
Well, the 5th ball change about to begin.
At least it looks like he's making a ball change. He went and grabbed something off the rack. Yep, he's taking the switch grip out, and he's going to put it in this other ball. I'm not sure what it is. Let's try to take a closer look if we can.
That's why it's so good to have switch grips, because you can just take your favorite thumb and just put it right into another ball, and you got the same feel. And they also have switch grips for fingers now, so you can also do it in your fingers.
So a ball change here for Amleto in the 4th.
Okay, it looks like he went deeper with his feet to the left.
This may be a last gasp ball change.
Okay, now he's really around the lane, and now he's just too wide, too early. He went deeper with his feet. He lost the ball off his thumb, and he only hit 18. He was probably looking at about 21 or 2 there. And because he got it wide early, the ball is gone.
So Amleto in some trouble.
I'll give you my opinion. I think Amleto's headed out the door here.
He's down 33 with 6.5 frames to go, and has shown no signs of mounting any sort of comeback here.
When I beat him yesterday, with how he's bowling right now, that's how he ended up bowling as soon as I got into the lead in the last game. He ended up not throwing the ball as well. He was kind of under pressure to have to strike because he was behind, and that's the way you gotta bowl these guys. You got to get ahead of them, and you got to stay on them. And even though Hugh's not putting the pressure on him, he still is by having that type of lead. That's a better shot. He increased his speed, and he didn't swing the ball as much. Much better for this type of lane condition right now.
And you have to give a lot of props to Amleto because he lost his first match to you, Kenny, and then he comes back and wins 9 straight matches. If you've ever bowled match play before, you know how hard it is to win that many matches against a field of this quality. And he bowled some great guys, too. I mean, that's just impressive stuff.
Hey, there is so many good guys out here right now. If you want to see some exciting bowling, the Senior Tour is definitely where to be right now.
Oh, look at this. Little love tap on the 7. He finally gets a break and carries a 7, and that may be the right
huge.
hook to the jaw right there that stuns
huge
Amleto.
Because, you know, right now they're really hard, so you got to get the breaks along with your marginal shots. You're going to make a lot of good shots that are not going to carry right now. You have to get some breaks. The guy who gets the breaks and bowls the best right now is going to win.
And now, all of a sudden, Hugh Miller up 53 pins with 5.5 to go.
Let's put it this way. Amleto's came back every single time against anybody that's been behind except against me. But he did it against Walter Ray. He did it against other guys. He needs to go off the sheet right here to have any chance of winning. And that's a lot better shot.
Good shot by Amleto. He's going to have to go off the sheet.
He knows it.
Yep, he's going to.
And, you know, that's the type of shot that he made there, a nice quality shot like he's capable of making. So he knows he can do it. He has to use all of his experience right here. He has to want it every time, and he knows he can't miss again. So expect him to take a little bit extra time, and I do expect him to make a good shot here.
As you look at the scoreboard, keep in mind that Hugh Miller had a 39-pin lead coming into this game, 410 to 371. And Miller has increased that lead here this game.
Of all the shots that he's needed all week, he has to have the strike right here to have any chance.
It's good.
Okay.
You can tell about halfway down the lane that one was going to strike.
Now we're seeing about the determination part, how you get inside of yourself and you're able to make a good shot. That's what he's been able to do all week, and he just did it 2 times in a row here. But the problem is, he's got to do it several more times. And then Hugh Miller cannot continue to strike, because if Hugh Miller keeps on putting it on him, no matter what Amleto does, he's still going to be down. And
looking for 3 in a row. He likes it. Oh, brutal break on the 10. That was a great shot.
Okay, so see, now the break that he got on the last one was really important, because then he made an even better shot here, and he took the pipe for it. He got nothing in return. But an easy spare, and he still maintains the hefty lead. But that's what Amleto needed to see. So Amleto's thinking if he can double right here, he can put some more heat on him.
No problem on the 10 pin.
And Hugh doesn't miss too many spares, so, you know, these guys aren't really missing spares. Amateurs, make sure you practice on your spare game. It's very important, because if you threw a double and you got a spare, that's a lot more important. If you throw a double and you get an open, hey, guess what? There goes the double. So
42 pin lead for Hugh Miller with 4 frames to go. Now remember, Hugh bowled Mike Edwards earlier today. He had a lead and he let it go in the final frames.
That's a good shot also.
He's begging for the strike. And he gets it.
Okay, here's the do or die situation. And Leto must strike on these next 2 shots. And he knows it.
Championship match will be coming up after this. Immediately following this match, the winner takes on Mike Edwards for the title.
If Amleto could pull this off, this would even be a better bowled set than the 800 because he doesn't really have a good shot on this pair.
Needs it desperately, and he crosses over and leaves the 6-pin.
Well,
it's not looking good for the Venezuelan here.
well, that was not a good shot. His elbow got out to the right. He turned it early. There was a lot more wrist action. And I don't think he's really been using that ball much either. So he's just about done.
Yeah, take a look at the scoreboard. It's a 4-pin lead this game for Miller, but Miller had 39-pin lead coming into this game, so 43 is the lead for Miller with 3 frames to go, and Miller working on a strike. 43 pins with 3 frames to go, not out of the question, but very difficult to overcome for Amleto.
Okay, Amleto needs to go off the sheet for 221. That requires him to throw the next 5. If he, any chance at being the champion this year, must have this.
It's a good shot.
And believe it or not, he just switched for the 6th time and he struck. Now that's his 6th ball change. Out of the 5 of the 6, he struck every first shot and wherever he stood. But then after that, he only struck once or twice more. Then he stopped striking again. Then he switched again. So that was his last hurrah. Hugh Miller cannot double again. If Hugh Miller doubles again, Amleto cannot beat him.
Yeah, so Hugh looking for the knockout punch here in the 8th and 9th frames. Working on a strike.
That's a great shot.
Wow, packs them all back.
That was a great shot. That was the last 2 shots are the best he's thrown all match. And that's a good time to pick that time to do it because, you know, that's pretty much the knockout blow. Hugh Miller's on a 2:05 pace right now. But if he gets a strike, he's going to lock up the match.
Ninth frame, working on a double. Looking to get his way into the championship.
Shot.
And that'll do it. Hugh Miller will be in the title match against Mike Edwards coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, Amleto gave it a great run, and he bowled fantastic this week, and then would have been really something for him to win both majors back-to-back. But looks like he's going to have to settle for 3rd place this week.
Yep, 3rd place.
3rd place.
So Amleto will get a prize check for $6,000, finish 3rd. And he will have to watch the championship match between Hugh Miller and Mike Edwards. Mike Edwards will need to be beaten twice.
Well, beating anybody twice on this is hard in itself. And if you're playing against Mike Edwards, that makes it even harder. Mike Edwards is a savvy veteran. He knows what to do. The only hope for Hugh is that he catches a pair that no lefties have bowled on and that a lot of righties have bowled on, and then he would have a problem possibly as far as Mike would have a problem, because he might not be able to play in the 6 to 8 board zone that he was looking at earlier.
I think that they're going to go to 13 and 14 for the first championship match, and I have to be honest with you, I think it's going to favor Mike Edwards because the only match that was bowled there today was Walter Ray Williams Jr. versus Paul Appling, and they were both playing out, and that's exactly where Mike Edwards is going to want to play, and it should be a nice little fun little pocket there for Edwards. And so I think that it'll be Mike Edwards' title to lose here in this championship match.
Okay, well, in retrospect, too, by the 2 righties playing there, that could also be the opposite effect. If the other righty was out farther and he's coming right to left and Walter was going left to right, that could actually zoo that area up on the back ends where
That's true.
he might actually have a worse shot, because I know on the fresh that he had a really good back end reaction. And for Mike Edwards, when he has a clean back end, he can throw the ball harder and he can play straighter up the lane, which that's what he likes to do. So we'll be able to see in practice what they're going to be doing.
It'll definitely be fresh for Hugh Miller because there's not been a lefty on that pair.
Well, then I like Hugh Miller, but again, you have to beat Mike Edwards twice. The chances in that are not very good.
And they will flip to 15 and 16 if there's another championship match. So Amleto finishes with 200. Only shoots 571, and that must be his lowest of the tournament.
That is his lowest of the tournament, and I'm sure everyone was not expecting him to bowl that low, but I guarantee you it's because of the play on the lanes, because, he did make some good quality shots, especially at the beginning, but he just didn't have the bar reaction. And, you got to, if you're going to advance out here, the guys are so talented that you have to have room, some kind of room to make a mistake. You're not going to throw the ball perfect every time. Nobody does. It's just who can throw it more times close to perfect. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, so stick around. The championship match coming up almost immediately after we're done here. They'll probably give Hugh Miller, 5 minutes or so to collect his thoughts, get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever he needs to do, and then we'll get started with the championship match. Hugh Miller versus Mike Edwards coming up.
Make sure you let all your friends know that Bowl.com is carrying this event live right now, that you're watching it, because a lot of people don't know that we're on right now, and I'm sure they love to watch this match. Hugh Miller against Mike Edwards, some of the old veterans bowling right now, and they're bowling great. Mike Edwards is in such good shape. He's throwing it so good.
That'll be a great championship match, and it'll be coming up in just a few minutes as Hugh Miller will take a few minutes to celebrate his win over Amleto, but not much time to celebrate because he has more work to do here. 634 to 571. Hugh Miller grinds out a win against Amleto Monticelli. We will be back with the start of the championship match here in just a couple of minutes.
From beautiful South Point.
See the sheet. 634 to 634.
Just about a minute away or so from getting started with the championship match. Would encourage you to go on Facebook, go to the USBC Facebook page, share the status that we just posted. Let everybody know you're watching Bowl TV and the championship match at the Senior Masters. And also get on Twitter. I just posted a tweet. Go retweet me at Lucas_Wiseman. Twitter.com/Lucas_Wiseman. Go retweet my post and let's get all the folks here to watch this great championship match between Mike Edwards and Hugh Miller, about 15 seconds away from the end of practice. And it's time for the championship match here at the USBC Senior Masters. Hugh Miller versus Mike Edwards for the title. Hugh Miller must defeat Edwards twice to take the title, as Mike Edwards is the lone unbeaten player in the field.
That is such a nice position to be in. I was fortunate to be in that position before myself. When you know the guy's got to beat you 2-3 game sets, you like your chances, especially the look that Mike's had. But again, we're on a pair that is been played on. We don't think any lefties have been on the pair, but we know Walter Ray and Appling were on this pair earlier, so Mike Edwards might have a better shot, or it might be worse. So I don't like Hugh Miller's odds of beating him twice, but if he can get through this first match, you never know, and the second match he might be able to win. So let's see what happens. Mike Edwards is a tough cookie. He's off the regular tour. He's been active up till now. He came close to winning the U.S. Open also. He did make the show, but unfortunately he won his first match and lost his second. And then Amledo ended up going on to win that and beat Walter Ray Williams, Jr.
And you're listening to Kenny Parks, the 2008 champion. I'm Lucas Wiseman. I neglected to introduce us before we got started here. They're working on getting the scoreboard set with the start of the championship match. It looks like it's ready to go here. Hugh Miller will start the championship match.
Okay, two tour veterans getting ready to battle it out for the top prize of over $15,000.
Oh,
Wow.
Hugh Miller starts by collapsing them for a strike.
Okay, I don't think there's been any left-handers on this pair because Hugh Miller squared up on the gutter. This is exactly the dangerous left-handed situation that you don't want to see, the lefty being able to go up the gutter. That's what I faced against Eric Forkel earlier in the week, and he basically took me down and hard. And Mike Edwards is to the left a little bit more. He was playing out. Now he is playing in more in the track. He's playing around 12. Even though he struck on that, I don't really like him as much on this part of the lane as I liked on the fresh when he can play 5, 6, 7. But he's still a good player, so he might be able to squeeze it out playing this track shot. Let's see what he does. I love the bounce. Wow, he pulled that a little bit. And the ball laid there, so that means he does have a little bit of room. That's nice to see. Got to have a little bit of room on this type of shot because you can't throw the ball perfect every time. You got to be able to get away with a little bit to shoot the high scores. Well, Hugh Miller's got a nice shot. He's playing like almost straight up 4, just a little bit away, not really crossing any boards, just kind of rotating it softly, but up the back of it slightly.
So both players start with a double here in the championship match. Remember, Hugh Miller must beat Mike Edwards twice to take the title.
That should be the room. Now see, he got it ball out to 2, and that's his break point basically. So he's like 4-2, 4-3, right in there. That's an awful good advantage to be able to play that type of an angle compared to what Mike's playing, because Mike's playing more left in the track and Hugh's out on the gutter. So Hugh's angle is going to be stronger and he should carry better. But that's not necessarily true in every case. If Mike Edwards has a good angle, he can carry good too. Let's see what happens. Okay, he hit about 14, and he was flush. So he's got a little two-board little tube in there right now. He hit 12 earlier, and he struck, and he just hit 14 there, and he struck. So that's nice to have. That's about what you would like to have on a good shot. Just 2 boards.
Nothing but strikes so far.
Now remember,
6 or
2
6.
boards is only 2 inches, so that's not really a big target line. So maybe if you wanted to keep it simple, instead of looking at 1 board, look at 2. And he hit about 14 again, and it was flush, and he made a better shot there. So he has a nice little shot there. It looks like he's using a virtual gravity. And that is the virtual gravity pearl, possibly.
So 4 for 4 for Edwards to start off, and Hugh Miller trying to stay with him.
Hey, Hugh Miller's got the same type of look that he had against Diaz the other day when he shot 800.
That's bad news for Mike Edwards.
But so far, Mike hasn't wavered at all. He has the front 4 just the same as Hugh does.
So far, a perfect championship match.
He pulled it.
Right through the face, leaves the 247. That'll end the string of perfect shots.
Okay, well, he has a good look, but you still got to make a good shot there. You know, the bowlers, when they're bowling really good, they make them look easy. But really, they're not that easy. They're just good.
Open frame.
Well, that's trouble now because, see, we talk about the spares. He had that 4 in a row. Now he opens. All it is like is a double now. So his 4-bagger becomes a double, and he lost pin count.
You know, and if there's one guy in this match who cannot afford to make mistakes, it's Hugh Miller, because he's got to win twice.
That's
he
right.
has to win
That's
this.
right. And
Edwards has nothing to lose here.
That's right. And you have to take it that, you know, it's a 3-game set. You know, there's more pressure on Miller, even though Edwards is gunning for his first senior title. Edwards was on the show last week. He already has some experience there, so I expect him to bowl well. And he also pulled it, and he got the same result high, except he left a 610. Very choppable.
So both players start with the front 4, and both fail to strike in the 5th. However, Edwards will have the lead if he can just make a spare here. Well, he'll have the lead no matter what. He'll have a a lead of double digits if he makes it. Look out. Like that one had the potential to hook through that 6-pin a little bit.
Yeah, he kind of spun it, so it kind of backed up a little bit for him, so that was good.
And so it is a 13-pin lead for Edwards. So take a look at the scoreboard after 5 frames of this first game of the championship match here at the Senior Masters, live on Bowl TV. I'm Lucas Wiseman, along with 2008 Senior Masters champion Kenny Parks.
And Mike's playing more in the track area, and that's because Walter Ray and Appling were bowling on this pair earlier, and they probably blew the gutter out. Mike would rather play around 5-6, but he does have a good shot in the track, and he is a good track player also. But Hugh Miller's got an advantage still as far as the shot that he's playing, but he doesn't have an advantage having to beat Mike Edwards twice. Now that was a better shot, but because he rolled it, now here's the front part of the lane coming into play. He did not loft that ball. He hit the mark he was looking at, but because he set it short, the high volume of head oil made it skid down the lane. It did not grab. He did not loft that ball like he was before. So because he didn't loft it, he didn't get the rotation that he was looking for. The ball skidded and didn't make the turn.
Well, let's see if he can make a run at the 379 here. He'll just take the 2.
Even for a right-hander, that would have been a tough spare to make. For a left-hander, almost impossible.
So 124 in the 6th for Hugh Miller. We take a look at the scoreboard. And his back-to-back open frames, he now has fallen behind by 24 pins.
See how easy it is to make a mistake, and after he had a 4-bagger, now he's back to square one. It's almost like he only had a double. He's only on a 2-0 pace now. That was better.
Oh, look at the messenger come flying across and take out the 10 and then the 7.
Well, he moved more to the left, and he threw a little bit harder.
Some fireworks on that one.
Oh, he needs more of those.
Those are heart stoppers right there.
Yeah. Well, you know, if I was Mike Edwards, I'd be thinking about, boy, I'd just like to keep on putting the heat on him right here and get him buried early, because he still knows he can lose, and he can still bowl again. So let's just finish it off now. This one would be nice. That's a good shot.
Wow.
Well,
That's
I said it
brutal.
was a good shot, and that was a solid 8. And is that the only true tap in bowling? That's questionable, but when you throw a solid 8 and the ball doesn't deflect any after it hit the pocket, it's like, wow, how could it do that to me? So, but he's not going to move on the next shot. He's just going to stay there, I'm sure. Nice break for Hugh Miller.
Take a look at the scoreboard. You can see it's a 24-pin lead for Mike Edwards through 7 frames. And once again, if Edwards wins this match, he wins the title.
You know, we're starting to see a trend out here on the senior tour. We're starting to see that the new guys coming in are really tough, as if we didn't know that already. But they are making finals quite a bit. They are beating each other up. They're ending up at the end of the tournaments. They are towards the lead or in the lead. And here's another example. Mike Edwards right off the tour coming out here having a lot of success early. And that's a little bit wider. And there's a blower 710. Now we've seen a lot of those this week, because when you cross boards, the volume of oil is so slick that the ball goes longer and then has a too steep of an angle coming behind the head pin.
What a tough break there for Mike Edwards. Back-to-back frames. He doesn't get rewarded for good shots. The single pin in the 7th, and now the blower 710 here in the 8th.
Well, you know, you can still bowl good and not score high. And, you know, Mike just made 2 good shots and got 0 rewards for them.
And that'll open the door for Hugh Miller. He's now down by just 11. The opportunity to pull within 1 if he can strike here for the double.
Well, he went light last time, so let's see if he moves to the left a little bit more and increases his ball speed. Nope. Nope, I saw it off of his hand. He did not stay behind that ball. He had his hand tipped just a little bit more, and even though he moved to the left, the ball was still skidding most of the way down there. Now, this one's makeable, but still, I would say about probably 50% for him. A pro should be able to make that 1 out of 2 times. And he doesn't.
Yeah, an open frame.
Well, it's kind of hard to get the ball over there if there's more oil in the center of the lane. You're not sure if the ball's ever going to hook at all, but you have to still give it enough room in case it catches on the back ends. So sometimes the better choice would be just take a straight ball, you know, like a plastic ball, and just aim for the side of the pin that you're looking at and just zip it as hard as you can and just hope that you hit it. If you make a good shot, you'll make it. That way, that takes the guessing out of it.
Still a 23-pin deficit for Hugh Miller.
Well, this is his good lane, and he made an excellent shot. But like I said, you know, a lot of difference between that shot and the shot he made before. He threw that one good. The shot before, he threw it bad. Now Mike Edwards looking for another good shot off of his hand, but is he going to have any luck this time?
A couple of bad breaks the last 2 frames for Edwards, especially that blower 710 last frame.
Yeah, you know, when you go from a solid 8 to a blower 710, that's quite a drastic difference.
That is. So we'll see if Edwards can recover here in the 9th. Good shot right there from Edwards.
He is using a nano pearl. That is the ball that he is throwing.
Someone in the chat asked how many folks are here watching, and that's hard to estimate. What do you say, Kenny? How many people we got here watching? Over 100, I would guess.
Oh, yeah.
Easily over 100.
I'm sure we've got around 150 more people strolling in.
Pretty decent crowd here.
Very nice crowd.
Senior Masters Finals.
And we've had some alternating times on this type of a format, so it's been kind of a long and drawn out. So, you know, a lot of people can't stay that long to be able to watch all the matches. But if you're here now, you want to watch this match. And that's a nice shot.
Oh, look at the messenger fly across.
That is amazing.
Wow.
Man, that head pin come off the board so fast. It was almost like watching Amleto throw one. But Mike's not noted for his power, but that ball's generating quite a bit.
So Edwards now goes up by 33. He can shoot 235 this game. Hugh Miller can only shoot 212.
Yeah, well, you know, he needs another one here. And then keep turning the screws on him. Mike Edwards is in a lovely position. You got to like it when you're leading in the match and you got 2 more games for the title. That's a good shot also.
And another blower 710.
Another blower 710.
Wow.
Well, okay. Talking about the carry down. You're seeing why that there's blower 710s, because when the ball loses its grip on the back right before it enters the pocket, it has a lot to do with there's a lot of little oil lines that the balls have taken the oil and deposited it onto the back end. That's why you're getting a lot more deflection. The pin decks aren't as clean, so the balls aren't going to hit as hard.
222 for Edwards. He's going to have a lead no matter what after game 1.
And that was funny because the ball before that, he sent the missile over there, messenger, about 100 miles an hour, and then that one, he left a blower 710, and the ball looked like it hit very weak. So here's Hugh Miller on the tight lane now. Nope. Oh, he got it to roll up, so maybe he switched balls because he actually hit around the 2 board at the arrows that time. And when he hit that before, the ball slid too much. He was behind the ball a little bit more, so possibility he switched balls.
That's a double for Miller.
And he needed that to stay in the match. Keep it within range. If he can get this one, he can keep the lead down to only 10. And that was a pretty good shot. And a good result. So he's made the adjustment he needs to on this lane. Now can he keep it? If he strikes here, he's only going to be down 10 in the match, which is not a bad position to be in. Just try to watch his hand. If his hand stays behind the ball should strike. If he gets around it too much, the ball's going to go light. Okay, he stayed behind it. And it went high, so actually he adjusted a little bit too much. And that's a terrible pin count. So now he's going to be down 13. Still manageable. Not in too much trouble.
222 to 209 is the final tally here in game 1 of our championship match. Mike Edwards in the lead by 13, and if Edwards wins this 3-game total pinfall match, he wins the title. If Hugh Miller can come from behind and win this match, we will go to a second championship match. Kenny, when you won the title, did you have to bowl 2 championship matches, or were you just...
Yes, I did. I had to bowl 2, and it was the first time that I bowled the tournament, and I got through the winner's bracket by defeating Tom Baker and gave him his first loss. And then Tom Baker came back and got through the loser's bracket, and I had to bowl him twice for the title. And that was a gorgeous shot by Mike Edwards. He's got a beautiful line right there. And he's playing a similar line to how I won the Masters the one year. I was playing in between second and third arrow and just kind of staying straight up in there. Now, Mike's got a lot more ball, but he is playing the same part of the lane. And, you know, when we were talking about them switching pairs and some of the pairs being bowled on, the good reason why I lost the first match I bowled Tom Baker for the championship was because we bowled on a burn pair and I just had nothing. I couldn't get my bearings. I shot about 550. I think he didn't have much more, maybe 580. It was just who could outlast each other. Because some of the pairs are just brutal. As you see, Amledo just came off the pair. The one pair he's averaging 260, and the next pair he shoots 570 on. So it just depends on the pair. Now Hugh Miller to get back in the match. He will take a lead here. That was a really good shot. One of his best shots he's made of the match. He's not going to be in the lead, but he has cut the margin down and forcing Edwards to strike to not lose any pins. Mike Edwards is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is his first year on the senior tour. He is going to be battling for Rookie of the Year, but he must need to get a victory because several of the other rookies have won already this year.
Including
That's
Amledo.
a nice shot. Yeah, actually, Lenny Borsch Jr., his first year he came out, which is this year, he won. Bob Learn Jr., his first year, he won. Amledo, his first year, he's a victor. So we've had quite a few of the guys already come out here and win immediately. What's going to happen next year when Pete Weber comes on and Jack Jurek? You know, Brian Goebel's here. You know, Tish Johnson bowled this year, and she had a respectable showing. She just left one too many splits.
Edwards trying to stay perfect here in game 2. Oh, rings the 10 pin. That's 6 wrapped around the 10 so fast, I'm surprised the wind didn't blow it down.
Well, the ball's straightening out a little bit right when it goes into the pocket on 13. That's why he left 2 blower 7-10s, and now he faced up a shot, but right at the last second, that ball kind of straightened up, rung the 10, all the pins are flying up in the air and not helping him on the sideboards. So just another spare, and now Hugh Miller is still in the same position he was, 10 to 11 pins down, something around in there.
I want to warn everybody that the YouTube live platform seems to have crashed again today, but if you stay on the page, you won't lose the broadcast. So don't go to Facebook or your email or anything. Just stay where you're at and you'll be fine. But new folks trying to come into the broadcast may be having some problems. But still 876 of you out there watching, so a good number. And we got the folks at YouTube working on the problem right now. So here's Hugh Miller in the third, trying to stay perfect. What
Beautiful
a shot.
shot.
Yeah. That was positively delicious right there.
Have we had any good comments today about the show? Anybody got any good topics that they've been sending in, or any comments?
People are just kind of talking amongst themselves with about the bowling and what's going on. Discussing the format and that sort of thing.
Okay, well, Hugh Miller just cut the lead down to just under 10 pins. That's a good shot. Oh, and he trips a 6-10.
Wow.
Nice break there because that ball drifted high just that little bit right at the end. But he did make a good shot there. And, you know, the ball's going to be a little bit stronger reaction on the back when he does do that. So, he's got the early 4-bagger. He's right back in the match. He actually has a small lead right now, but Edwards can answer.
It's the front 4 for Miller. You can see the scoreboard here. Double spare for Edwards. So an 8-pin lead for Hugh Miller at this stage.
Another good shot.
Wow, another ring 10.
Well, you know, when he's making those good shots, you know, when you leave a 10-pin, there's a lot of causes. The cause I'm seeing is the ball's just going down the lane a little bit too far, and then when it's making its break, it's just jerking to the left hard. A little bit too steep of an angle. But, you know, right now, he's not in a bad position. He's hitting the pocket. His carry hasn't been too good. About the last half of the game, his carry's been susceptible. But he's been making good shots, and that's what you have to do. And again, if he loses, he's not out.
That's right. He's got nothing to lose in this match.
So, you know, that's a lot less pressure when you can bowl like that. I know, because it was for me. You know, I'm not superhuman. I figure somebody can beat me sometimes, but I don't figure too many people could beat me twice. And if you're a good bowler, you should think that way.
See if Edwards can get on track here. He's got to find a way to carry the 10.
Now he moved out a little bit more.
Messenger.
And he
That's
got
one way to
another
get the 10
messenger.
out.
Yep. But actually the ball finished a little bit less than it did
Yeah.
last time. But because he made a little bit more move to the right,
It's a little more direct, huh?
got the strike, yeah. And he was right behind the ball on that. And he was out farther to the right, so he's moved out maybe 1 and 1 or something small.
Hugh Miller trying to stay perfect. He's 4 for 4 this game. Looks good. Oh, the 7 wiggles and doesn't go.
Well, in all fairness, that's one back towards Mike. Mike's left more ringers than he has.
Still an 8-pin lead for Hugh if he can make the spare, as we are at the halfway point of this championship match.
With the blue dot for the spare. Everybody remember the blue dots?
I do, of course.
How many people still have them?
I don't know. So you can see the scoreboard there. Miller up by 21.
I remember
game.
back in the day, as far as the blue dots, if you didn't have a blue dot in the leagues we bowled in, you couldn't score. And then now they would just use it for a spare ball, if that.
Through the face, leaves the 6-10.
Well, see, that ball was a little bit more left to right, and again, his shoulder got a little too square right when he let go of the ball. That's why the ball went down the line and to the right, a little bit right of his target. He's got a little bit left of his target, but he does not have the right area right now. That means no hold. It's not that they have hold on the shot. The only way that they're getting hold is by going away from the pocket a little bit. Crossing some boards, you can create hold. But if you go straighter down the boards, there is no hold. By hold, I mean that you get the ball to speed up a little bit, and when you get it in, the ball goes a little bit longer. That's what we're looking for, that type of reaction, if possible.
Edwards an opportunity to make up the difference here. It's a pretty solid shot right there.
Very nice. He squared up just a little bit more, I think, on both lanes, and the entry angle is a little bit better. Still using a nano pearl. And Hugh is using a high road. You know, Mike Edwards has only missed the pocket once that I can think of in the game and a half. So let's see what he does here. See how he's bouncing. He's just trying to get his timing. And he stayed behind it really nice. And look at the result. Boy, his release is so good. The last couple weeks have been very impressive by the way he's been bowling. He's a lot better than most people know. And I have to say, he's improved quite a bit.
And he now leads in the match by 14 pins after throwing those 3 strikes in a row.
Well, he's a cool customer. He doesn't talk much because his ball does the talking. Now, that's a better shot.
Comes up light, almost mixes him up, but leaves the 10 standing.
Well, it was a better shot, but he was a little bit firmer, and he stayed down a little bit more with his knee, so that pushed it down the lane, even though that actually was a better shot. There's a lot of variables in this game. And when one round object hits another, they never do the same thing twice. Now Hugh for the spare. Rolls it beautifully and covers it easily. Okay, same situation as it was before, except Mike has got a lead now. Hugh had briefly taken back the lead, and Mike's now sitting right where he wants to be. Hugh doesn't have anything working on 3 spares in a row. Needs to start picking up the pace a little bit and not get chasing behind. That's a good shot. And he strikes.
So a high-scoring game here in Game 2. We've got 12.5 frames left in this championship match. And Mike Edwards is still hanging on to the lead here.
Mike Edwards can go off the sheet for 268. That would put the big hurt on Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller can go 256. He got that in a little bit.
That's in. You could tell right away that that was left.
Okay, now see, there's no hold there.
Yep.
We talked about going straighter. When he goes straight, there's no hold. when he gets the ball to the right, he can get the ball to speed up, and there is an illusion of being some hold there. Now this is going to be a tough spare because the right side's hanging more because Walter and those guys played around first arrow, and then the middles are hooking. So I think he's going to charge right at this pretty fast and straight.
There's a sleeper back there.
That's a chop.
Oh, it comes off the wall and makes it. What a break. Wow.
Well, he missed it and made it at the same time.
Yes, he did.
That's the ones you love to see because, hey, guess what? He made a mistake, but he didn't pay for it. Usually that never happens. So when it does, you must have been doing something right that week. Okay, now he needs to get back on it, and he needs to get a strike here to set it up in the ninth because Hugh Miller's lurking with a strike up, and Hugh Miller can shoot 256. And now Mike, the best he can do is 245.
Ninth frame.
That's pretty good.
Oh, and almost another blower 710 on that left lane.
Okay. At least he got it out that time.
He still leads by 11 in the match.
Should be an easy spare. And he makes it. Now I'm noticing Mike's going over to talk to the ball rep right now because he needs to ask him something as far as his line. Could he possibly do something different to increase his pin carry on 13? That's the lane that's killing him. Here's Hugh Miller.
Miller looking for a double to
I don't
get within
think so.
single digits. No.
I do not think so. Okay, now that was totally different from the last shot. He made a bad shot there, and he's going to pay. Mike just made a bad shot, and he didn't pay. But that was on a spare, and this was on a strike.
Hugh is just absolutely beside himself. Slapped his towel on the table there. He is not a happy camper right now.
Yeah, because that's just a bad shot. I mean, he was hitting the pocket there, so that's not what he was looking for. Now he could really use this spare, and then he'll still only be behind the amount he was coming into this game.
It's a washout. No sleeper back there.
It's close, but no.
Just did miss it. Caught a little too much of the head pin there, didn't he?
Yep. Well, he's trying to protect because he knows if he sends it a little bit right too fast, it's going to hook on him. So
yeah.
he's just trying to throw it through the tube, and he didn't get enough on the back end. All right, here's the situation. He needs to double here. If he can throw 3 in the 10th, he can shoot 224. And Mike Edwards' possibility is 234, but he's on a 224 pace. So Hugh needs a double here to keep the lead as it was in the first game only. That's a good shot. And he struck. Almost every time he's made a good shot, he's struck. So it's just up to him what he wants to do. If he wants to win the title, he needs to make good shots.
Our friend 1953 in the chat says, coaching during the match? Yes, you are allowed to have coaching during matches at USBC events. The Masters, Queens, Senior Masters, Senior Queens. You are allowed to speak with your coach or ball rep.
And that is fair because in golf, you can talk to your caddy. Why not be able to talk to someone here?
And I believe the PBA rules differ on that, as Hugh Miller goes through the face.
That was a horrible shot. He knew it off of his hand. And now he's going to be down possibly
33,
30
yeah,
to 40 pins,
yeah.
depending on what Mike Edwards does here.
You know, Mike Edwards is kind of licking his chops at this point.
Now, see, you know, when I'm talking about them talking to the ball reps, there is a rep from Storm here right now, and by Mike using Storm, he's talking to his ball reps about possibly going to some of the other balls in the line or trying to figure out if he should, if he had another surfaced ball, something. Maybe he just wants to know what the move should be, something that can improve his carry on the left lane. So they've come up with their game plan, and he's going to give it a whirl. But he has had this lane most of the time, so. That's out wider. Oh, and he carries light. That was a miss, and he got away with it. So that's 2 misses in a row, and he didn't pay on either one. So it's going his way. He could cash it in right here with another strike. This one could help him to his first Masters title, because if he gets a strike here, he could be up 30 to 40 pins going into the last game. That's awfully big margin for Hugh to try to climb up the ladder with. And that was a beautiful shot, and he's doing that right now. So he's going to be about 40 pins up.
Yeah, he's going to shoot 234 this game, which means he's going to pick up 20 more pins. He'll be up 33 going into the third game.
That's a lot. If he strikes here, a 33 pin margin for the title. And he switches balls. And what did he leave? He left 7 count, almost a 2-4-8-10. Now that ball he thought would hook more, so he moved to the right a little bit and threw it, and it hooked less. So he might not go to that ball. He might just stay with what he's going to do. 231 game. He was within 30 pins.
Yep.
So actually, that's a big ball that he just threw there, because 33 pins compared to 30. That could hurt him, especially if Hugh gets hot.
And Hugh's going to go over and hit the space bar on the score monitor, and there it goes. So
okay, so the position is that Hugh Miller needs to make up the 30 pins that he's behind right now to have a chance to win the title. It's going to be a tough thing to do against Mike Edwards, because Mike Edwards does have a good line. It's just been about the carry.
Good start to the game.
Well, he's moved out a little bit more even, so I still think actually Hugh has the better line, but his execution has been a little bit off. He's not making as many good shots as he was earlier. Mike Edwards is going to go back to the ball that he started with. So he's satisfied with his reaction there. He wasn't satisfied with the reaction on the fill ball. That actually faced up nicely. That made a stronger move than most of the balls we've seen earlier. So he's definitely moved a little bit to the right.
So both players with a strike to start here in game 3. And Mike Edwards with a 30-pin lead.
Okay, this is his bad lane. Let's see what he does. He moved in more, and he still rung the 10. So, now I'm Mike Edwards, and I'm thinking, I just moved to the left. It's a little bit crisper in there as far as the hook. Now I'm staying away from that area that was kind of hydroplaning where the ball got to it, and it would kind of be lazy coming back, and then I ring a 10 immediately. Am I going to stay there? I don't know. I might move in a little bit more even now. He might miss that, but
Wow.
he makes it.
Covers it up. You're watching our live coverage of the USBC Senior Masters here on Bowl TV.
It looked like he caught a little bit with his shoe, and he did pull it, but it held for him, and he made it.
Lucas Wiseman and Kenny Parks with you. Championship match between Hugh Miller and Mike Edwards.
This is Hugh's bad lane, so it's the opposite for each one.
Oh, look at the messenger come across, take out the 7 for the double.
That was huge. Because, see, that was a marginal hit. It hit halfway in the pocket. You still got the pin action, and the messenger came over and just annihilated the 7. That's a great break. On a good shot, though. He needs to continue to make good shots. He needs 10 more good shots here to have a chance at the title. I don't think Mike's going to hand it to him. And so expect Mike to shoot at least around a 220. That's pretty good. Wow, that was really pure off his hand. That was probably the best shot he made all day. It was nice and pure. He didn't force it. He was on balance, and he liked it. And we liked it because it was good.
3 good shots for Hugh Miller to start off game 3, and he has cut into that lead. It's now down to 10.
Well, Hugh has a chance to win the title if he could shoot around a 240 to 250 range. I think he would have to be in. That way, if Mike does shoot 220, he still has a chance to get rid of that margin that Mike's ahead.
Great response there by Edwards.
Mike's not going to give it to him, but I still don't like his left lane. His carry percentage has to be 50% or less on this lane. Seriously, we don't know the exact, but he's left a lot of corners. He's left a couple blower 710s. You know, he just left a ringing 10 on a really good shot when he made a move to the left. I think he'll move a little bit more to the left of the ringing 10. Let's see what he does. Yep, he snuck in a little bit more, looks like.
Looking for the double.
And see how he's just bouncing the ball? He's just trying to get his timing, and then he just doesn't want to feel the weight transfer.
Chance to go back up by 20 here.
And he did. He did move in a little bit, and then he got the result he was looking for. So now he's made the adjustment on that lane. He might not leave those bad breaks like he left before. And he also has a chance to shoot 280 this game, Mike Edwards. So if he was to do that, Hugh would automatically be out because Hugh can't catch up. Hugh's down 30 pins.
Yeah, that would be enough for the shutout, of course, with Edwards leading by 30. Here's Hugh Miller trying to stay perfect, trying to keep his title hopes alive, and that's a great-looking shot right there.
You know, all of a sudden, he's throwing it better than he had before. Can he keep it up? We're going to see.
He's got the front 4. Let's take a look at the scoreboard.
His release is a lot cleaner now, but he's still a little bit more behind the ball, so that combo is really giving him the roll that he was needing on this to shape that pattern correctly. Now, he can carry. He pulled that.
Gonna get lucky? No. 4-pin stays up.
Okay, well, that wasn't a good shot. He didn't pay too bad, and he almost got the break, which he would have been entitled to because Mike Edwards got 2 breaks this game. Actually, the last game. But, you know, Hugh Miller's the one that needs the breaks. Mike Edwards doesn't because Mike Edwards is in command and he can lose and still be bowling for the title, as where Hugh Miller cannot. Hugh Miller must win this match. If he doesn't, your 2012 champion will be rookie Mike Edwards.
So Mike Edwards just a half a game away from hoisting the trophy here at the Senior Masters. This will go a long ways. Edwards helping that cause right here in the 5th.
That's a
Working
good
the
shot.
Double. Goes a little high. Is it going to knock it over? It does. It gets
Wow.
the strike.
See, now little bitty stuff like that can win you the title. Okay? If he doesn't trip that 4 right there, he's going to be in a lot worse shape. Now he's got that 4 in there. He's got a 3-bagger. He's feeling good. Now if he could put the strike right to the metal here, he's going to really put the heat on Hugh, and Hugh's down 30.
We haven't seen a lot of emotion out of Mike Edwards today. Do you think we might see a little emotion if he strikes on this one? Or is it a
I
little
don't
too early?
expect it to be too much, maybe a little fist pump or something, but you know, he doesn't do a lot. He just makes a lot of good shots and doesn't react too much on them, but he will get into it if he needs something. That's wider. And the bounce. Okay, that wasn't a good shot as much. And also, there was kind of some noises that went on. I'm sure he heard them because he kind of pulled his head up a little bit. And, you know, it's really hard to stop. Some of the disciplined players can stop. Ron Moore, for example, can stop. If he hears something, he's going to stop right before he throws the ball, and he can do it every time. Other guys can't. Once they start going, they're just committed, and they're going to make the shot anyway. That doesn't mean it's going to be a good shot, but they make it.
So Edwards is still ahead by 20 pins with 4.5 frames to go. And he's going over for a little advice. And he's got to finish on that left lane. Oh, I see what's going on here. He's distracted by what's going on
There's
here.
a lady,
Yep.
see, where we're at, they have windows over on the sidewalls in the lounge areas. And they have the front part of the windows, they actually have blocked off, so that way you can't really see anybody that's right by the front part of the lane. But in the back part, there's just one lady sitting there at a table, and she's moving. So they're going to send somebody down to see if they can get her to move out of there, because that might be distracting the bowlers in their peripheral vision.
I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, in my opinion, you're bowling on lanes 13 and 14. That should be out of your range of vision there.
Well, technically, yes, but, you know, for the bowlers that can see everything,
How about Hugh Miller stepping up and
makes
doubling?
2 great shots there. Now Mike just needs to focus on what he's trying to do here and try to have blinders on so you don't see anything from your left or right. They're bowling in the middle part of the house, and they're bowling on 13 and 14. So actually, other than the adjoining pairs, they shouldn't be able to see anything past that. So let's just focus on our mark and get it done on this one.
And Edwards' lead is down to 10 now after that double by Miller.
He's been a little bit light on this lane, but he's got good action going, and he continues that the right lane is better than the left lane for him. His carry percentage in the left lane is at least 50% or less, I'll tell you that right now, and it's been like that since he started the match. So if he could just defeat this left lane, he's going to have this match in the bag.
I think he's going to take a re-rack here.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that'll be his first re-rack. Smart play. He knows how important this shot is right here. He needs to hold off Hugh Miller before Hugh Miller gets hot and takes this first match away from him. Then he'll have to bowl him again. And we don't want that.
Yeah, I don't think Edwards wants that either. He'd
No.
like to wrap this thing up right here.
This is very important.
10-pin lead, 3 frames to go. He can stretch the lead to 20 with another strike right here.
Of wanting any strike, this would be the one to want right now. Try to hold off Hugh Miller. You still have a 30-pin lead, but it's getting lower. Wow, and he makes the best shot he's made on that lane probably for the whole match so far. And that ball was totally flush. He trusted it. He made a great shot.
And he goes back up by 20. A lot of noise from kids in the background over in the arcade.
Well, Hugh Miller's been there before, so he knows what he's got to do. he can still shoot 279. That's a pretty good shot. Wow, nice. See, he's answering. That's why these guys are there. You're seeing him perform. Cameras are on him. Everybody's watching. He knows what he's got to do. Mike Edwards gets up there and doubles right in his face. What does he do? Come right back with a beautiful strike.
There's the scoreboard. It is just 2 frames to go. A 10-pin lead for Edwards overall in the match.
See, now here's the situation, too, because Mike Edwards can shoot around a 259 game. Hugh, best he can do is 279. That'd only be a 20-pin difference. He's down 30.
Big shot.
That's a good shot.
Gets the strike.
And the results were exactly what he wanted. Make the shot and hope it carries. That's all you can do. Remember, when you get in the pressure situations, take a deep breath, make a good shot. That's all you can do.
Now, Mike Edwards is going to go here in the 9th and the 10th. He's going to finish the match first. If he strikes out, he wins. He can lock it out.
Mike Edwards can win. He needs the next 3 strikes in a row. He needs the 9th right here and the first 2 in the 10th. That's a good shot. Okay, now it's all in his hands. Mike Edwards, this is the first tournament that he's ever bowled on the Senior Tour and the Masters. He has a chance to win the title right here. That's what you bowl for when you're practicing. He knows that if he gets the first 2 in the 10th, he will be the 2012 Masters champion. It's all up to him. He definitely needs the first one, and then the second one would be a bonus.
And you know he's done the math in his head. He knows exactly what he needs.
And so is Hugh Miller. Hugh Miller knows that the only way he can win is if Mike Edwards gives him a chance. Mike Edwards on his bad lane. He threw the ball beautifully on the last shot.
Oh, look at the 5 go! What a break for Edwards.
Okay, now, that was very strange. He fell off balance. He didn't make the shot that he was wanting. The ball did get to the pocket. And again, the tighter back ends, he almost left a 5-7. Something hit the 7 late, and then the invisible man tripped the 5.
What a break there for Edwards.
Okay, now here's the situation. He needs this strike to win the title. All the bowling he's been doing, and he made the show last week, he can win it all right here.
Oh, it's a 10-pin, and Hugh Miller's going to have a chance.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
He threw that so good. But again, his bad lane, and it swept it off.
Yep. They're going to have to spot that 10.
We're going to have to spot the 10, and that also ices Hugh Miller for a couple more minutes because the 10-pin got swept off.
They're spotting the 10 now. It's pretty quick. Looks like they got that spotted real fast, which I'm sure Hugh Miller appreciates.
That is amazingly fast how they got that down there, okay?
The mechanic
normally
must be sitting back
that's
there.
going to take like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. So let's figure out the situation here for Hugh Miller as Edwards shoots 248. And I believe that Hugh Miller needs a double and 9.
Hugh Miller was down 30 going into this game.
Right
now,
all 3.
Mike Edwards shot 248. If Hugh Miller throws 3 strikes in the 10th, he wins by 1 pin. Here's everything you want right here. Hugh Miller must strike. If not, Mike Edwards wins. That's a good shot. Wow, Hugh Miller, ice in his veins right there. That's unbelievable. You can make a shot into that type of pressure. Hugh Miller's been there many times. You know, when you go through the experiences in your life, you have to apply them. Hugh Miller's going to apply everything he's been through right here. He knows he can make a good shot. He's won a lot of titles. This one right here, he has to have it.
Hugh Miller needs 2 more strikes here in the 10th frame to win this match by 1 pin and force a second championship match. Must strike or Edwards wins the title. Here we go.
That's a good shot. Oh,
and
Mike Edwards.
Yep, Mike Edwards wins the Senior Masters.
Mike Edwards wins sitting on the bench, folks, and he can't believe it. He's like, oh my gosh, I did it. The first year he's ever bowled. Fantastic for Mike and a bad break for Hugh Miller, but he had it all where he wanted to. All he had to do was throw the 3 strikes to make it in. As long as you got a chance, that's what any bowler wants. Unfortunately, he didn't get it done, and Mike Edwards will be the 2012 Masters Senior USBC Masters champion.
Congratulations, Mike Edwards.
And Mike
winning
Edwards
the title.
Show this ring. That's the Masters ring.
Congratulations to USBC Senior Masters champion Mike Edwards.
Kenny Parks, thanks for sitting in. Appreciate it. Great job, and we'll let Pete Treadwell take over from here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and thanks, Kenny.
Thanks much, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Congratulations, great week. You had a great run. So we had a couple of counts for you, to get to the championship, to fake that level of jelly. I don't know if you were aware of what he was doing for you, but he was running over for you. You certainly did a great job of getting to me, finishing second. What was your thought going into the match against Marcelli? Were you even aware of how well he was bowling?
I thought going into the match against Demletta was probably a kill, and he just ran into a tough pair, because other than the one match against Diaz, I didn't really see him full play. Until that last match, he threw the ball completely there, so I might just do a little better in rotations. I was lucky to get a start. That was, I think I had 79 in the 5th the last game of the ball for me, and I was right about that. So it struck out as, don't ever give up, keep on playing, you never know when you're going to take some great meetings. I'm here with Dwayne Hagan, USBC Tournament Manager and Tournament Director for the Senior Masters, and Mike Monyak, Manager here at the South Point Bowling Center. First of all, a special thanks to South Point staff. Mike and his staff did an awesome job all week. Let's give them a nice round of applause. Great week for the South Point. Certainly a lot of tournaments, and we appreciate all their assistance this week. And Mike, first of all, we're gonna let Dwayne hand Mike the trophy. Dwayne, take it away.
All right, Mike, well, it's a great pleasure and a true honor on behalf of USBC for me to present you with the 2012 USBC Senior Masters Champions Trophy. You're certainly deserving, great representative. And by the way, you were my pick at the beginning of the week, so I won the side pool. Congratulations, sir.
And now we'll hand it off to Mike Monyak, Manager of the South Point Bowling Center for the check.
Mike, on behalf of South Point and USBC and Mr. Owner, congratulations. First of all, before I get into this, you gotta tell me how I hear you live like you did. That was great. Anyway, on behalf of everyone, there's a check for $16,000. Congratulations.
Mike, great week this week. A lot of things I want to ask you. First of all, I guess we'll go back to this is only your second senior tour event. This is working out pretty well for you.
Came out
Congratulations, Mike. Great week. And thanks out to everyone for coming out, and we'll see you next year.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Our live broadcast wraps up now. Matt Cannizzaro, Emil Williams Jr. a little bit later on tonight. Come and join us here on Bowl TV at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Bowl TV for the USBC Open Championships. That's all from Las Vegas. I will see you a week from today in Reno, Nevada for the U.S. Women's Open. Have a great night, everybody.